2, 1. We're live.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to the City of Brisbane Joint City Council and Housing Authority meeting of Thursday, December 10th, 2020, and the clerk will read the preamble.
This meeting is compliant with the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20 issued on March 17, 2020, allowing for deviation of teleconference rules required by the Brown Act. The purpose of this is to provide the safest environment for staff, council members, and the public while allowing for public participation. The public may address the council using exclusively remote public comment options. The council may take action on any item listed in the agenda. Members of the public may view the City Council meeting by logging into the Zoom meeting listed below. City Council meetings can also be viewed live and or on demand via the city's YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/BrisbaneCA, or on Comcast Channel 27. Archived videos can be replayed on the city's website, brisbaneca.org/meetings. The City Council meeting will be an exclusively virtual meeting. The City Council agenda materials may be viewed online at www.brisbaneca.org at least 24 hours prior to a special meeting and at least 72 hours prior to a regular meeting. Meeting participants are encouraged to submit public comments in writing in advance of the meeting. Aside from commenting while in the Zoom meeting, the following email and text line will also be monitored during the meeting, and the public comments received will be read into the record during oral communications 1 and 2 or during an item. Please email ipadilla@brisbaneca.org or text 628-219-2922. Join the Zoom meeting with the meeting ID 951-0170-2751 with the passcode 123456 and the call-in number at 1-669-900-9128. If you need special assistance to participate in this meeting, please contact me at 415-508-2113. Notification in advance of the meeting will enable the city to make reasonable arrangements to ensure accessibility to this meeting. And for all the participants, if you could kindly mute during the meeting if you're not addressed to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order and invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would like to mention to our city council members that I am hearing a little bit of feedback from the different rooms that some of you are in. So if you can also mute when you're not speaking, that would be great. With that, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Roll call. Council Member Conway.
What are we roll calling on? Oh, just
that we're here.
Here. Yeah.
Council Member Cunningham.
I'm here.
Council Member Davis.
Here.
Council Member Lentz.
Here.
And Mayor O'Connell.
Here. Thank you. I'd like to get an adoption of the agenda. And to call for any changes, I would like to add that I would like to have our next mayor close in memory of Laura Salmon Smolka, who passed away recently. And with that, do we have any changes, additions, or can I get an adoption?
Move adoption as amended.
Thank you. And thank you. And with that, roll call vote.
Council Member Conway.
Aye.
Council Member Cunningham.
Aye.
Council Member Davis.
Aye.
Council Member Lentz.
Aye.
And Mayor O'Connell.
Aye. Thank you. We will move on to item number 4, which is oral communications number 1, where members of the public can speak on an item that is not on our agenda. Do we have any members of the public who would like to speak?
Madam Mayor, do you want to report out of closed session?
We should do that. can I get a report out on the closed session?
Yes, Madam Mayor, the council met briefly to discuss a pending claim matter, and direction was given to the city manager.
Thank you. And with that, oral communications?
There are no members of the public wishing to speak. That's not on the agenda.
Great, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
is it oral communication?
yes,
Still-
for items not on the agenda.
Oh, okay, okay. I just wonder if I could speak, it's just for everybody rather than doing it one person at a time on the agenda.
Go ahead. Go
Would that be
ahead.
appropriate? Okay, I really appreciate your your thoughtfulness. Okay. Anyway, my name is Wayne Lee, for those people who don't know me, in Brisbane, and the former council member and former representative of the Associated Bay Area governments, which I represented along with Rich Garbino, the cities in the county of San Mateo. I'm here because I want to first way just want to thank you for all your friendships. I met each one of you, and I'm going to miss you, Clarke. I hope we get to see each other. You invite me to play board games with you again at the club. That after those council of city meetings, I really enjoyed. I hope that I get another invitation sometime. And I also thank you for all your work that you've done for Brisbane. You've been a real stalwart and very enthusiastic advocate for Brisbane. It's working with you and Cliff and Madison and the mayor and Karen on issues that really affect Brisbane from the Associated Bay Area governments. My role there has been a real honor for me. I really appreciate the work that all of you do for your city. It's phenomenal. And I'm just going to miss the opportunity. I just want to thank you for that opportunity to serve on the Associated Bay Area governments on your behalf. And I just want to thank you, Mayor O'Donnell. You've had a unprecedented year. It's not something that is hopefully can never happen again. And now, obviously, we're not out of this pandemic, but you've done phenomenal work for Brisbane, and I think you should be acknowledged for that. It's a very special, very, very special leadership that's needed, and you came through. So thank you very much, and congratulations.
Well, Wayne, thank you, and it has been a pleasure working with you, and congratulations on your retirement. So
yeah,
thank you also.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I want to congratulate Councilman Lentz and Councilwoman Cunningham, and also your new council member to be sworn in, council member elect Colleen Mackin. I am the president of the San Mateo County Asian Pacific Islander Caucus, and your city supported us when Asians were being attacked from the villainizations of the flu pandemic. And I just want to thank the city and all of you for supporting Asians in the county. And that was very, very important to us. And if anything we can do to support you in your efforts for diversity and equality, we'd love to do that. So thanks again. Good luck to all, Clarke. Good luck to you and all the council members. And I hope we keep in touch. Take care now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Wayne. If I could, Madam Mayor, just, Wayne, it's been a pleasure knowing you for the past 8 years, and I'm sorry to see you leaving the city of San Bruno, or excuse me, the city of Millbrae, but I know you guys got term limits, so I expect you probably will come back around again, and I appreciate your support for Brisbane that you did on ABAG, and you were really a great supporter for us, and, let you know, I'll speak for the whole council on that. We really appreciated you being on ABAG, and I think the city of Brisbane will miss you on that board. So thank you so much, Wayne.
Can I say one thing too, Terry?
Sure, go ahead.
Wayne, I really want to echo, what Clarke said as well. And I feel like you were one of the first people when I got elected to just extend a hand of friendship to me from another city. And it was really intimidating, you know, coming into those meetings full of all these elected officials. And I was just a baby at the time. And to have somebody treat me as an equal and offer me friendship, you know, even now, whenever I'm invited to events or I go to events, I just always am searching the room for you first, because I've always felt that you've been so genuine. And, you know, I know that if I find you at an event, like, I'll feel more comfortable and we'll talk and have a good conversation. And I just really want to thank you for that. And thank you for everything that you've done for Brisbane. You've been really a staunch supporter of us when we've been up against some pretty big forces. And so there were others that didn't have that courage for us, but you did. And I will never forget that. So thank you so much.
It has been and has been my honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if I can just chime in too, Madam Mayor. Yeah, Wayne, you know, you and I have known each other for a long time now, and you've always been just a great friend, you know, not just to me, you know, and yeah, sharing your experiences at the county level, but just, you know, you've been a great friend to our town. And you just being here tonight just shows a great example of your character and your sincerity, that when you've taken on county positions, you just didn't do it just so you could move the ball forward for your own city. You really put on the county hat, and very few people who are at that level, you'll really do it in the proper way that you have. And so I know you're going to be back in a couple of years. You're too valuable, not only to Millbrae, but to the county as a whole. And yeah, looking forward to helping you in whatever way I can to have you be reelected back to the Millbrae City Council.
Thank you, Councilmember Lentz. And also, I'd like to mention your staff's been phenomenal too. I've worked with your staff, Clay. You and your staff's been phenomenal in working with me on different issues. So you guys are really lucky to have Clay and the staff that you have. So congratulations.
Madam Mayor, if I may. Hey, Wayne, so when I first got elected, I'd never met you, but all I ever heard out of everybody on our city council was Wayne Lee, Wayne Lee, Wayne Lee. He's the guy that's always there for Brisbane, Wayne Lee. So you were already famous to me before I met you. So thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
Totally. And congratulations on your incoming mayorship. I know it's going to be a challenge for you. I know I'll do a great job.
They haven't made that formal yet. Just saying. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so we will move on to oral communications. Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak? You're muted, Ingrid, if you're speaking.
If any members of the public wish to speak, you could please unmute now. If you are dialing in and would like to unmute yourself, you could unmute yourself by pressing *6. Madam Mayor, it looks like no member of the public wishes to speak.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve items A, B, C, D, and E?
I'll make that motion.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. With that, a roll call vote.
Councilmember Conway. If you could please unmute Councilmember Conway.
Aye.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Lentz.
Aye.
And Mayor O'Connell.
Aye. Thank you. And that moves us to new business. And the portion of our meeting that is with happiness and sadness, which is to recognize W. Clarke Conway for his service to the city of Brisbane. And We're going to start with a proclamation, and I believe we have a concurrent slideshow that will be running during this proclamation. So it is my pleasure to recognize W. Clarke Conway for his service to the city of Brisbane in this year of 2020. Whereas W. Clarke Conway was born and raised in Brisbane, both of his parents were actively involved in the community. His father was elected to the original city council in 1961 when Brisbane became a city, and his mother fought against the garbage incinerator and helped dozens of kids participate in sporting events. And whereas he and his wife Liz are raising their two youngest granddaughters in Brisbane who continue to thrive and share their talents with the community. And whereas W. Clarke Conway has served on the city council for an astonishing 23 years, beginning his service on November 22nd, 1993. He served on the City of Brisbane City Council from 1993 to 2001. He then retired for 4 years and served again from 2005 to the present. He first served as mayor of Brisbane from 1996-97, and then again in 2000 to 2001, 2009 to 2010, 2013 to 2014, and 2017 to 2018, making him the longest serving council member and holding the most mayoral positions in Brisbane's history to date. And whereas as mayor and council member, he ensured everyone felt heard and advocated on behalf of Brisbane on a regional and statewide scale, bringing his historical knowledge of Brisbane to the forefront of discussions. W. Clarke Conway always brought his sense of humor, positivity, wisdom, and common sense to all deliberations of the council. And whereas his goals included providing excellent recreation opportunities for Brisbane citizens, preserving the city's open space, and being a champion for local voices. And whereas his work resulted in projects and improvements of great benefit to the city, such as the community swimming pool, the skate park, the former teen center, and the new Brisbane Library, where operations will soon be starting in a great new building with gathering spaces, public art, a maker space, outdoor areas, and quiet reading rooms. Also a history room. He also was pivotal in the creation of the Youth Advisory Committee and the cooperative agreements with the Jefferson Union High School District, the Brisbane School District, and the San Mateo County Library System that have resulted in enhanced curriculum, after-school activities, availability and upkeep of ball fields, and improved library services. And whereas his leadership resulted in the establishment and continued funding for a permanent open space fund and the formation and leadership of the Open Space and Ecology Committee. And whereas he provided key leadership to the city council, city staff, and the community in the difficult decisions leading up to Measure JJ that established parameters for the future development of the Brisbane Baylands. And whereas all along he was a frugal steward of the city finances and resources and played a critical role in many budgetary and fiscal decisions that have kept the city in sound financial condition and able to meet our obligations. And whereas he shared in the efforts establishing the North County Fire Authority, the Joint Powers Agreement with San Mateo County, cities, and fire districts, establishing the San Mateo Pre-Hospital Emergency Services Providers Group, the shuttle bus service for the Crocker Park BART shuttle program, the library JPA and San Mateo County, and various San Mateo County cities, the citywide automatic aid system, and whereas he presided over many city celebrations, such as the city's annual Veterans Day flag raising event, the city anniversary celebrations, and the ribbon cutting ceremony of the city's first fast EV charger installed at the shopping center, he was also the first to sign a mayoral proclamation celebrating Black History Month. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Brisbane hereby thanks its esteemed colleague for his generosity in giving an abundance of his time, dedication, and extreme fortitude to the city he holds so dear to his heart. And it is with my sincere appreciation of him that I present him with this proclamation. Thank you, Clarke. So, with that being said, we would like to have some thank yous from the council, some statements from the council, and we're going to start with Council Member Cliff Lentz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hey, Clarke, how you doing, man? You know, for the folks out in the audience, you know, all of our Zoom meetings have been from home, but today I came down to City Hall. I heard that Clarke was going to be in the mayor's office, and it just, you know, it just felt right to me that if I was going to, you know, say some nice things about Clarke, I wanted to say it to Clarke's face, right? Say it in person the best I could. So I'm in the conference room.
I'm looking.
Yeah, we got a you know, a window that separates us, you know, and a wall. So we're keeping safe. But you know, Clarke, you've been such a friend to me. I mean, a deep friend. You know, I consider you one of my closest friends in Brisbane. And you haven't just been a mentor for me, you've been a mentor for our entire city. And you know, I remember that time when I won election to the council, and you said, okay, I'm taking you out to lunch, and we went to Squat and Gobble in West Portal, and you taught me the ropes, right? And you just laid out, you know, what it's like to be a council member, and that you know, sometimes you have to make tough decisions, and that you do your homework and you listen to every person, listen to all sides, and then in the end, you know, it comes down to you, and you have to make that decision, and sometimes people aren't going to be happy with it, right? But in the end, everybody, you know, no matter how angry they got with the decision that you might have made, they all respected you, and they knew that if you were going to say something, and if you were going to make a decision on something, that it was thoroughly thought through. You know, the deepest respect for what it means to be a public servant. And you know, I think that this town, I mean, well, I just know that this town is so much better off for having you be a part of it. Yeah, you know, as someone who grew up here and someone who took on a leadership role, and you did it for so long. And I know that there were moments in your personal life where it was hard, but you kept coming back, you know, coming back to the city and this community that loves you so much. And you could tell that respect was mutual. You know, you went out there, and you know, every time you ran for election, you know, re-election, I mean, you know, always got the top votes, and you know, except for that time, I guess, you know, Lori might be in the room. She had that one election, but you know, people just loved you, Clarke, because they knew that you had the city's best interest at heart in every single decision that you made. And it's going to be weird not having you there. You know, I miss, I'm gonna, what the thing I'm gonna miss the most, I think, is, just your stories in your historical wisdom of things that have happened in Brisbane. You go back, 15, 18 years ago. It's like, geez, why did the council make a decision, in that way? And we would just turn to you, and you just be like, oh, well, the reason why, and then you go off on that story, and of course you'd always make it really colorful, and the full language of the moment, and that's oh man, I love those moments. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough not having you be a part of that, because there's gonna be moments when we're gonna be trying to figure things out, and not having you as that rock to turn to and say, hey, Clarke, how do you feel about this? Because you always had the pulse of the community, and you're just you're just a great mentor for us all. So thank you for everything, and I just wish you the best in your next life, and with your family. Take care, brother.
Thank you, Cliff. And with that, we are going to move on to Madison Davis.
Okay, guys, fair warning. I've been really emotional today, so I'm gonna try to make it through this. I can't even get started without already tearing up. So you guys are just gonna have to bear with me. So Clarke has been on the council practically all of my life, at least all of my life that I can remember. And while other council members have come and gone, Clarke has always been the council guy to me. I was 24 when I ran for city council, and I was really nervous about the opposition that I would face simply for my age. And I was nervous that people wouldn't give me the chance to show them that I was capable of serving them in this position. And when I was mulling over running, I kind of wanted to keep things under wraps first, until I was absolutely sure. And I swore my dad to secrecy the day that I told him that I had been asked to run and that I was actually considering doing it. And when I told him, he said, "You want to do what?" And the next day he came home and he said, "I told someone you want to run." And I was like, come on. You literally just promised me that you weren't going to tell anyone. And he said, "I told Clarke." And my heart sank so fast when he told me that, because my dad didn't just tell anyone. He took it right to the top. And I had all this anxiety swell up inside me, thinking, that's it. This is the moment of truth. If Clarke is not into it, if he's not in on this, maybe I should just reconsider this whole thing. And I looked at my dad and I said, what did he say? And my dad just smiled and he said, he wants to be the first one to sign your papers. And he was. Clarke Conway believed in me. And not only that, but he took me under his wing. He gave me campaign tips and he vouched that I would do a good job. And Clarke, I don't know if I have ever expressed to you how much you believing in me meant to me and still does. After I got elected, Clarke took me to dinner, same as Cliff. And he said, "Listen, kiddo, there's some advice I want to give you. never forget that you are and always will be a servant. Your job is to listen, and your job is to work on behalf of Brisbane citizens and what is in the best interest of the city. And don't let this title of council person fool you into thinking that you are high and mighty. When I was appointed mayor, I had Clarke swear me in. And again, he gave me so many nuggets of wisdom along the way. He encouraged me to try to avoid cutting people off, even when their time ran out. Even if they were getting aggressive or raising their voice, Clarke said that it was important for people to have the time that they needed to fully express themselves. And I am pretty sure we're the only city in the county that gives people 5 minutes to make a comment and lets them keep coming back to the podium however many times they need, for the most part. As I'm sure you can all tell by now, Clarke has been one of Brisbane's biggest assets. So from the moment I began this job, I almost immediately began dreading this day, the day that Clarke would retire. The day I feel like in some ways, the training wheels of our city council bike have come flying off. The day that we trudge forward without our quarterback and team captain. I am so honored to have served with the only other born and raised Brisbane City Council person. Clarke, in many ways, has kept Brisbane true to itself. He never let us forget how something went down 15 years ago, or why decisions were made the way that they were. Clarke is our reference guide. And not only that, Clarke is one of the finest storytellers I've had the pleasure of knowing. The minute Clarke starts telling a story, I perk up because I know this is gonna be good. The stories and the jokes that land at the perfect time, those are some of my favorite council meeting moments. Clarke, I have seen you fight for this city. I have seen you sacrifice. I have seen you envision something and bring it to life. For those that don't know, Clarke's granddaughters, Kalani and Lafi, are exceptionally talented musical theater performers. They sing, they dance, they act, and they do it in a way that moves the soul. Clarke, you are not just an incredible leader, but an incredible grandfather. I've seen tears well up in your eyes watching your granddaughters perform. I've seen you cheer them on with so much pride and joy. Watching them and then watching you be so proud and so full of love makes those memories of attending their shows incredibly special for me. And while I have personally been dreading the day that we say goodbye to you as a council member, I am so happy for you and for your family as you begin this much deserved next chapter of your life.
With that, we'll move on to Councilmember Cunningham.
Clarke. So the first time I met you, I was one of those people who wanted more than 5 minutes at the podium to complain about one thing or another for many years before I decided to join the Planning Commission. But during that time, you were always so good-humored. You always listened, and then you became really good friends with my husband Emmett and I, and we had so much joy having you at our home, at our parties, and again, hearing you tell funny stories. and just the things that you did outside of the council for the community, you know, your family and the basketball courts and the kids getting to come and thank you for all those things that you did, and us paying it forward to the children of Brisbane and saying, look what this person does for this community. You can do that too. Be really appreciative of everything that goes on. And I know when I decided to run for city council, your words stay very tight in my head. Don't be disappointed when they don't agree with you. And that sticks with me all the time. And I've passed that information on to others. You have made us so proud. As a friend, as a city council member, I was so incredibly happy that you came back and did us all an amazing service to see us through Measure JJ. I don't think we could have done that without you. Absolutely no way. And I know you wanted to retire back then. So we are so much in your debt for really sacrificing this last few years. You didn't want to be here, but you came and you did it for us. You didn't do it for you, you did it for us. So from the bottom of my heart, I will miss you, and I'm really happy you're going, because you're going to go and do things you really want to do now, but we will miss you so much. I love you. My husband, my cats love you. Everybody in this town loves you, and a wonderful retirement. I know you're going to be doing all kinds of fabulous things. Love you so much.
Thank you. And for me, Clarke, my heart goes out to you for all you've done over the years for Brisbane, for our community, for all of us. When I first said I was going to run, I met with you and you took me aside and you said, you don't know what it's going to be like. You're going to make your friends cry. And I have. But I said, it's something I need to do. And you're like, well, if you need to do it, that's okay. So you helped me with that. And you gave me the bite of realization of what it was going to be like to be on the city council. And then when we really needed you 3 years ago and you weren't going to run, I really wanted to make sure you did, because I thought we needed you. We needed you in our corner. We needed your leadership. We needed your no BS style where you'd call something out for what it was and where we needed to be. And whether that was, I can count to 3, knowing that you had the votes or you didn't have the votes. You made it clear with your style and your upfront way of putting things that we all knew where we stood and where you stood. And even though we may not have always agreed, we always knew there was a reasoning behind your agreement or disagreement. And you wanted to make sure that we were all on track. And over these last years, you've kept the city on track. And you've done such an amazing job of keeping us all together and putting out the fires when they need to be, or letting them smolder for a little while, because sometimes that needs to happen too. But you always did it without any condemnation of how it was going down. And when it was over, you could laugh and talk with everybody, and it was behind you. It wasn't an issue that was going to keep going. So for that, I have wonderful feelings for you, and will be sad to see you go. But I know that you have more things that you can still accomplish and that will bring you joy in your life. And I know that we have a strong council that will be able to get through this bereft time of being without you and your memories and your historical knowledge and your levity in so many of the decisions that you brought people together and even worked through those difficult times when it was so hard. So Thank you so much, Clarke, for all you've done for the city. But your time is not done yet here. So with that, we would like to invite Supervisor David Canepa. Is he available for his comments?
Thank you very much, Mayor. First of all, Clarke, you might remember Al Tagley.
You're going to need to speak up, David. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Louder? Okay.
I think there you go.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Clarke, I don't know if you remembered Al Taglia. Al Taglia was known as, he was a mentor to all of us. He was known as Mr. Daly City. And, he encouraged a lot of people to run. But I look at you as the Al Taglia of Brisbane, being Mr. Brisbane. Just hearing your colleagues speak about you, your collaboration. I think just being a down-to-earth person that people could talk with and get on with. So I want to just thank you on behalf of the county. We have a proclamation for you. And I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. We'll make sure to send it to you. But thank you for your public service and for all you do. We truly appreciate it. And take care of those grandkids, okay? All right, I'll see you. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, David. We appreciate your support and all the county's support. Thank you. And that brings us to Elmer Martinez from Assembly Member Mullins' office.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connell and honorable members of the Brisbane City Council. It's a pleasure to be here tonight on behalf of Assembly Member Kevin Mullen to recognize outgoing council member Clarke Conway, to recognize his 23 years of leadership and the collaborative spirit he brought to his work in Brisbane, but also his projects across San Mateo County. And although I'd much rather be in person at the City of Stars to do this myself, I thought that I would read aloud the certificate that has been sent to Councilmember Conway, and it reads, "In honor and recognition of your 23 years of dedicated service to the residents of the City of Brisbane. During your service on the council, you helped navigate through some challenging times, and your leadership laid a strong foundation for the future. On behalf of the state of California, congratulations and best wishes for continued success." So thank you again, Councilmember Conway, for all of your hard work and your dedication to the community. And on behalf of Assemblymember Mullen, thank you again, and we wish you the best of luck in your next chapter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, we have Senator Becker's office. Is Senator Becker's or his office available?
Unfortunately, Madam Mayor, he sends his well wishes to Councilmember Conway, but he's unable to attend today's reorganization.
Okay, thank you. Is Michelle Kong from Congresswoman Spears' office available?
Hi, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much for having me here today. The Congresswoman does send her regrets for not being able to attend herself personally, but she has asked me to express her sentiments on her behalf. I think just listening to all of the love and comments that the City Council has expressed to Councilmember Conway, it is just evident of the work and his immersiveness in the community in the city of Brisbane. And this is an excerpt from the congressional record, which was read in DC. Councilmember Conway love of his town is so great that he views grooming the next generation of leadership as a major responsibility. He also has future generations squarely in mind as he makes proposals, such as when he proposed the creation of an open space and ecology committee. This committee led directly to the purchase of several parcels of open space by Brisbane. At City Council meetings, he's credited with asking tough but important questions about the city's budget. He highly values the city's marina and ensures that it is well managed and properly maintained. In a few years, Brisbane will have a beautiful new library. While many deserve credit for making this project a reality, it would not have happened without Clarke Conway's vision. It would be a great day in Brisbane when he and other council members cut the ribbon on this new civic treasure. Perhaps his greatest contribution to the city was through his evolution regarding the Baylands project. He worked to create a plan that would protect future residents of the Baylands and create environmentally sensitive commercial development. When it came time to vote, he provided critical support that allowed others on the council to rest assured that the best deal possible has been attained. All the residents were able to follow his lead by ratifying a measure that permits the new Baylands plan to move forward. Thank you so much for your 23 years of service and the countless benefits that the residents will be able to enjoy through your leadership.
Thank you, Michelle. And then I would like to ask to have our city manager, Clay Holstein, speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't usually participate in this part of the council greetings and process, but I thought tonight was a little bit different, and I had asked the mayor if I could just spend a short period of time. Clarke Conway, I'm going to be like Madison here. I'm going to get very emotional. It's the Irish in me, is what my mother would say. And Clarke and I have shared that over the years too. Clarke was on the city council that hired me, and we have worked together for 18 years. That's longer, far longer than any elected official that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. I wanted to put a couple things in writing just so that I'd get this out right. So if you'll indulge me. Clarke, on behalf of the city staff, I wanted to acknowledge this moment. Thank you for your support, your guidance, and your leadership. We've had the opportunity to work on many difficult issues over the past 20-something years. I've always appreciated your unswerving dedication to your town and your reasoned and calm approach to resolving conflicts and finding our way, sometimes through the wilderness, to the inevitable light at the end of the tunnel. Your leadership, as your fellow council members have stated, has been instrumental in so many issues that have been we've dealt with over the years, and I can't even begin to even note tonight all the different things we've been through, the great conversations that we've had over the years. There's one thing I do want to note that I hope that you continue to come back for, and that's the Veterans Day flag raising that you initiated a few years ago. And I think it's a wonderful event, and appreciate your leadership in making that happen. And although we've all recognized Clarke for his calm leadership, I want to assure you that when he's watching Warriors playoff games and 49ers playoffs games, the text line goes mad, and that calmness isn't quite as calm, but I enjoy that part of it too. We've had a wonderful relationship over the years. We're going to continue to be friends. We're about the same age, and we share a lot of the same experiences growing up and stuff. So Clarke, thank you. And on behalf of the whole city staff, you've been fantastically supportive of us, and we certainly note that and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Clay. With that, I'd like to open it up to the public. And do we have any written comments and or people wishing to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Dale Conway Jr., his big brother, would like to congratulate Clarke Conway. He says, "Congratulations, little brother, on your accomplishments as city council and former 5-time mayor." I think it was 5 times. "I'm very proud of you, little brother. 23 years total. Enjoy your well-deserved retirement. Love you." And with that, we also have Michelle Salmon who'd like to make a public comment.
I couldn't let this opportunity go by. I don't remember really not knowing Clarke. And I'm going to show you guys how to cry on screen because I'm really going to do that. But I've known Clarke most of my life. I really don't remember not knowing Clarke. And our fathers served together on the first city council. And while Clarke and I have not always been on the same side of every issue, we have always been friends. And Gary, when he told you that you are going to make your friends cry, that's because he's had lots of experience at it. And Clarke, I have 2 words for you. Term limits. Do you think 8 would be enough? Because we may need you again. So, and by the way, you're not dead yet. So don't be expecting to loll around doing nothing because we are still going to need you, even though you are not. Will not be on the council unless you decide to be again, because that's why we're going to set term limits at 8. And I do appreciate so much the role that you have taken to move our city forward. So don't be thinking you're going to rest on your laurels, even though you have good sized laurels to rest on, okay? And I love you, and I will always be your friend. Thank you so much for your service. There, that's how you cry on TV. Got it, girls? Guys, Clay, take notes.
Thank you, Michelle. Do we have any other members of the public who would like to speak?
We have Mitch Bull who would like to speak, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Clarke, you may remember I came to Brisbane in 1990 working for Hitachi, and we used to have chamber meetings at the upstairs of the AAA building. And you were one of the first council members who would come at 7 o'clock every month and update the chamber board on what was happening in the city, on the council, and listen to any concerns the chamber had. Little did I know that we'd both be sitting here 30 years later. And, you know, a lot of mixers, a lot of lunches, a lot of speeches, not always being on the same side, but what you've always done, you've always supported the city, you've always supported the business community, both when I was with Hitachi and through the chamber, and now through economic development. You have been a friend of the business community and can prove that the business community doesn't have to be different than the regular community, and together we're stronger. So thank you so much for your friendship, your guidance, and that steady hand on the tiller for really close to 30 years. I'm going to miss you, and don't be a stranger. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. Do we have other members of the public?
Oh, do we just unmute and say something?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Oh, let me start my video. Oh, hey, Clarke. It's Ross, your neighbor. Just wanted to say thank you for your service. You've been the mayor, or sorry, you've been the city council and probably the mayor practically the entire time I've been here in Brisbane. Whenever I tell, you know, whenever people ask where in Brisbane I live, I just basically say across from the mayor, and they immediately ask, "Oh, you mean Clarke?" So it's going to be interesting without you. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you for all your help, and I'll see you around.
Thank you, Ross. Do we have any other members?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Hi, this is Gina Pappin from the city of Millbrae. The world really is coming to an end. Clarke, you're retiring? Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. I've just respected you for decades, and I go back that far as well. Your unwavering commitment to the city of Brisbane has always been amazing. And the fact that, you know, you haven't updated your picture on the website for that long too, that's pretty good. We love you. And I hope everybody keeps track of where we can find Clarke, because there are a lot of things going on in Brisbane, and uniting the city is so important. You've got a good council there, and I've enjoyed working with all of them. Congratulations on the reelection, Ms. Cunningham and Cliff. I've worked with many of them, and I'm very proud to have said that. I look forward to working with you all once again. We got a lot to do in Brisbane here and a lot to do throughout the county. Clarke, I wish you all the very, very best, my friend. It's good to see you, and I hope I'll see you around soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
Yeah, thank you, Gina. You know, we should probably make Millbrae a sister city because we have such a great relationship with them, and their council members have been so, you know, hardworking on our behalf at the county level. So thanks.
I'm here for you. Anything, MTC, you got me.
Definitely. Thanks.
So Ingrid, do we have any other members of the public who would like to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have Colleen Mackin, and then after that we'll have Maria Siggy-Sigsid.
Hey, Clarke, I just have to say there's words that come to mind: solid, sincere, unflappable, and most of all, the unvarnished truth. And nobody can ever take that role and replace you. And I'm just going to add that having gone through a political campaign, I cannot imagine how many campaigns you went through in 23 years and how you survived that, honestly. So my parting words here are that I really don't think that we will go for a year without someone saying, what would Clarke do? What would Clarke have done? So you may not be here, but you are never absent from all of our minds and hearts. And thank you for all that you've done.
Go ahead, Maria.
Hi, Clarke. Hi, everyone. I don't want to pass up the moment to have a chance to say goodbye to you and congratulations. I just wanted to, really thank you for when I was working on commute.org and when I was working on the solid waste franchise agreement, how you were always there. And I kind of lost count on the number of times when you would always say, let's take a step back in time and think a little bit about how we got here. And you'd have such detailed history on everything of MITSMA, ITSMA, and everything on Peninsula, traffic congestion relief, going even back further to how the solid waste franchise agreements got to where they were. And, you guided me in such a way that I didn't expect. And I really wanted to just let you know I appreciated that. I do miss working under your guidance, and I just want to let you know as a resident, I truly appreciate the leadership that you've had all these years. I wish you the best with your family, your beautiful grandchildren, and if there's anything I can do, I'm just, across the way, just feel free to say hi. Take care and enjoy.
Thank you, Maria. Very nicely said. And do we have any other members of the public?
We have a comment from Faye Conway and family. Well, we're in our t-shirts and jammies at home, and my first time I'm on Zoom just for Clarke Conway and new council member Colleen Mackin and outgoing Mayor Terry O'Connell. Thanks and congrats. Karen and Cliff, welcome back. Winning re-election, congrats. Wow, in 23 years, Clarke, our city, our technology has seen so much. Wow, the new city hall, the new swimming pool, the new basketball courts, skate park, where old post office was formerly, a great new library, etc. Thank you, Clarke, for your tenacity. And city staff and council, the old and new, thank you for also acknowledging your athletes and encouraging fitness and sports. Congrats, Clarke, for 23 years. We trust you so much to our city. You stand strong to keep us safe during pandemic and all. We love you so much, big bro. Brisbane proud. And then with that, we also have Leanne Borghese.
Well, thank you so much, Clarke. I'm so glad that I was able to jump on and say thank you for all that you've done on City Council. And it's been a joy to get to know you as a person. And I know that we, Sharon and I, we all appreciate everything that you've done during your term this year and in past terms, and what you do for Brisbane and who you are as a person, and a part of the Conway family, your brothers and the rest of your family. I know that you're going to celebrate with so much love around you. And thank you, Mr. Clarke Conway, for everything that you've done and continue to do. You're one special shining star in our city. Thanks, Clarke.
Thank you, Leanne. That was lovely. Do we have any other members of the public who'd like to speak?
I see no more hands and no more chat messages. So with that, Tom McMurrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have just one comment here.
Go ahead.
May your retirement bring great happiness to you and your family. Enjoy. Thank you and congrats. And that is from Dolores.
Thank you. And then Tom would like to say a few words.
As a citizen, not a city attorney, Clarke, I couldn't let it pass. I had told Madison earlier that it was inappropriate and I wouldn't do it, that I got Clay's permission, but I couldn't let a few things pass because they define you, they define Brisbane, and they define what's good about the political and the policy world as opposed to the bad things. Before we ever met, I had 2 phone calls, both elected officials. So you're going to be handling this thing with Brisbane and the Baylands. How are you going to manage Clarke Conway? What are you going to do? I thought I was dealing with this, to be blunt, I won't use the 4-letter word, but that's what I thought I was dealing with. I mean, why are these guys giving me this heads up? And then I met you. And they gave me the heads up because, and I mean this seriously, the only other person I've thought of like you is Jerry Brown. You've been there, you've seen it, you don't feel the need to be heard. When you're heard, you mean to be heard. You're very clear about what your point is. But you don't also feel the need to blow a lot of smoke, and you don't feel the need to yell or whisper or any of the effects of politics. You just want to do the right thing and govern. And I think it's a testament to who you are, that's who you are in public and that's who you are in private. And I don't think there's a much greater compliment in California politics right now than to say you remind me of Governor Brown. The other thing that comes up all the time is the civility of Brisbane. I've commented repeatedly privately, I've never seen a locality like this. People are angry and they get along. People are really upset and public comment ends and they sit back down, and at the end of the council meeting, they come over and they shake hands and they stand outside and they talk. I mean, I'm not going to mention certain cities, but we had to be walked out the back door, which is far more common. I think it comes not just from the character of the city, but it comes from the character of one of the city's longest serving leaders, somebody who doesn't take it personally, somebody who does want to do the right thing, and somebody who had the decency and the leadership to sign on the first line for Madison. That's all about who you are, the future, and those grandkids. And then lest anybody miss it, because I didn't, people don't give Clarke credit for being a fashion icon. This is a man that the first time I ever met him was wearing tennis shoes with a suit. And I thought, what is he doing? And a year later, the NBA players are wearing tennis shoes with a suit. The NFL players are wearing tennis shoes with the suit. So Clarke, you led the way on that front too. So for your great heart, your great fashion sense, and your great kindness and wisdom, thank you.
Very
Madam
well
Mayor.
said, Tom.
Madam Mayor, Tom inspired another commenter, Vanessa.
Okay.
Vanessa, go ahead.
Hi, Clarke. Thank you for everything you've done for our community and all the sacrifices that you've given throughout the decades. I particularly wanted to say thank you for believing in me and my family. When I took over 7 Mile House 16 years ago, people were really skeptical about us, but you came into our establishment, made a connection, and became a very good friend. On behalf of my mom and my kids, thank you so much for being there for us, for being there for our business, and for being there for our city. And you know that if you need anything at all, you know where to find me. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
So are we ready for a few words from Clarke and, as he'd like to say, rebuttal?
I guess I should unmute for this. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yeah, well, I didn't write anything. No concession speech, but I want to say bye. No. Okay. I'm not gonna make it that simple. Okay. I want to start off. I want to really thank my family, my wife Liz and my grandkids Lafi and Kalani, that their unwavering support, it really allowed me to do this. And every time I ran for council, I always had this angst that I didn't want to run, And so the last few times I'd ask my wife, what do you think, hon? She goes, whatever you want to do, I support you 100%. And that's it. I mean, what more can you ask for when your spouse says, unconditionally, I support you? And that kind of makes it easy in a sense. When I go back, over the history of things, a little bit, that, the last 27 years, we've only had 13 council people serve, and that first council I was on in 1993 of Ray Miller, Steve Waldo, Clara Johnson, and Lee Panza, I really learned what it was to be a council person from those four, and I came in under kind of a tumultuous times, and took out a very strong incumbent and, won. And of course, I was Joe Hotshot and wanted to get all these things, all these ideas and stuff, done the first week, and it just didn't work that way, and, having a more of a corporate background, I'm thinking, man, the government moves incredibly slow, it's like, because usually you make decisions and you do it, right? And, it's a process that takes place. And I really learned a lot. I learned a lot from those first four council members, Ray Miller and Steve Waldo and Clara Johnson and Lee Panza, that they showed me the ropes, not necessarily by sitting me down. They showed me the ropes by their actions. And that gave me a solid foundation of who I would be. And trust me, after 6 months, my first 6 months on the council, a guy threatened to recall us over the purchase of our current city hall. And I was the driver on that. And I said, man, that's fine with me. After 6 months of this, bring the papers by my house. I'll sign them. and everybody started laughing, and it kind of took the wind out of his sails. But, I said, I'm the one he goes, I'm not talking about you. And I go, well, I'm the one that's initiating this stuff, and we were doing like 2 and 3 meetings a week at the time. And it was really intense because we're in the middle of a general plan update, and I'm trying to get all these policies in, and at the same time, I kind of had what I'd term as an agenda, from things that I listened to from politicians in the past. Everybody always kind of makes these promises and stuff, and like a swimming pool, and I go, man, that's been a broken promise for 30 years. I always heard that from when I was a kid, and all we had was the lagoon out there, if you want to take your chance in that, so, I never had any of those things. But when I grew up, we had a real strong recreation department. And when I came on the council, our recreation department, I think we had 2 people working for the rec. And that was due to Prop 13, but it never changed after that. And I always thought, well, we got to change things. So, with all the people I served with were all dedicated individuals. After Ray Miller and Clara Johnson retired, then Cy Bulligoff, who, actually helped appoint him to the Planning Commission. Well, Cy Bulligoff ran and Seppi Richardson ran, and they were both elected to the council in 1995. And then served Steve, Lee, and myself ran for re-election in 97. And then in 99, Seppi left the council. Clara came back on, right? And so, it's only 6 people I've served with, right? 7 people. And then 2001, both Steve and I retired. Lee ran again, and then Michael Barnes was elected, and Seppi ran again, and she was elected. And so you had Michael, Seppi, Clara, Lee, and Cy Bulligoff. And then they were in the council for 4 years, but in the interim, Clara took ill, and so she resigned her position. So in 2005, a lot of people said, you got to come back to the council. And I'm thinking, the hell I do, it's like, why do I want to do that? I mean, it's like, it's in 8 years, man. It's like, hey, come on. And, but, being an idiot, no, glutton for punishment, I ran again. And so did Steve. Steve ran for Clara's term of 2 years left on her seat. So, the council became Lee Panza retired after 16 years. So became myself, Steve Waldo, Michael Barnes, Seppi, and Cy Bulligoff. And then it stayed that way for a while until 2009. Michael left the council, and then Cliff came on. And then at that point, it was Cliff and myself, and Cy and Seppi, and what was the last one? Okay, I'm having one of those moments. Cy, Seppi. Okay.
Waldo. It was Waldo.
Yeah, Steve Waldo. How can I forget Steve? Steve and I served together for, I think, 15 years total. And what a great councilman Steve was. I miss him to this day, bless his heart. He's always had that dry sense of humor, and I loved everybody I served with. We all had our special relationships, and of course we never agreed on everything, and we had our moments and everything like that, just as our current council, but we always did it civilly. You had a civility about it, especially with your colleagues, and that's important. And then 2011, Cy left, and Ray Miller came back on, after many years of retirement, and Terry did. So here we go, he got a whole new council, and 2 people, and so Terry really was new in a sense, and a great addition to the council. So we went along, and then in 2013, somebody retired. Seppi resigned in 2012. So then Lori Lou ran, and Cliff and myself, and got reelected. And so Lori came on the council. So, that was for 4 years, but 2 years later, then Ray retired again. And then that's when Madison was elected to the council. And then Terry was reelected. And then again in 2017, that's when Lori retired after 4 years. Karen, Cliff, and myself were elected. And then I don't know what happened, man. And Madison and Terry ran and nobody else ran. It's like, oh, that was the second time that happened in Brisbane. I go, that never happened to me in 6 terms, man. I always have people, come out and run and stuff. But, but overall, in the last 27 years, there's only been 13 people that ran. And I think that shows what the longevity that has really helped Brisbane in a lot of ways, and our staff, has had that, So Colleen, you're number 14 and now going into the 28th year, and congratulations on that. So I want to say congratulations to Cliff and to Karen on your reelection, and to you, Colleen, on your reelection. I think the community got it right. I really do. I've watched you over the years, and I really think that you have all the right stuff, to be a fabulous council person. And I'm happy that you were elected. And I'm really happy for the way the electorate turned out. I mean, we had over 88% of the voters vote in Brisbane. We've never had that. I mean, even the people, the two folks who came in at the bottom got way more votes than I ever got. I mean, being top vote, it was unprecedented. Cliff, I mean, you unprecedented amount of votes. It's like, geez, we had like 30, I don't know how many, 3,000 something registered voters, and 88% voted. Given that, this is the first time that we've ever had a city council election on a presidential or gubernatorial year, because we were always on the odd year. Now we're even. And so, that probably why maybe Madison and Terry, that nobody ran. And, but I know you're happy about that. It's like, oh, wow, see, I don't have to go campaign, And I remember my first campaign, I really worked it, and worked hard on it, and it's like, but I didn't want to get elected. I just had an incredible work ethic, and I ran with John Burr, that, my lifelong friend, along with Michelle. John Burr says, oh, we got to run for city council. I go, who are you talking to? You got a mouse in your pocket, man? I go, no. And so he did, along with Dana Dilworth. And, it was like 6 people ran for, 3 seats. And that was a very close election, because it really contested. It was a very testy election too. And I think there was, I ended up with the top votes, and John ended up with the least amount of votes, but there was only like maybe 70 votes that separated us. And it wasn't much. And so it was really interesting. And like I said, I learned a lot, those first 4 years was just like unbelievable. And, I want to say a little bit about my colleagues, and then also staff, if I could, because, I'll start with you, Terry. You are unbelievable this year. Unbelievable. I used to sit back and I would see how you officiated the meeting with all the stuff that you've had going on in your life, in your personal life, that I'm thinking, and how are you doing this? And it's like, I was trying to think of how I would handle it, and I mean, you just are superb, on the way you handled things, and the way the meetings were officiated is like, it was totally different than anything we've ever done before. And so, you're a first who's done these virtual meetings, And the way you always went through it is like you just guided that meeting along. And it was so impressive, you know, that, God, Terry, my hat is off to you, because you've always stayed true to yourself and to your ideals, you know, and I have so much respect for you. And this year, just, you know, and my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you for what you went through this year, and for what you did as mayor, and to nurture us along as a council is just unbelievable. And I thank you for that. I thank you for that, because this year, I honestly don't think I could have did what you did. And, you know, like I said, I try and put myself in your spot, and I just think, I don't know how you're doing this, you know. And thank you, Terry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for, you know, getting us through this year. Thank you so much for getting me through this year, because I felt like I was crawling to the finish line, like, oh, Jesus, man, let this be over. But, you know,
I'm going to interrupt you here and say thank you, Clarke. That means a lot to me. And I couldn't have done it without the help of the council. But thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Cliff, buddy Cliff, where are you, Cliff? Oh, there. I'm looking over it. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna, if I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking at Cliff right now. But Cliff, it's been fun. When you got on the council and we went to that squat and gobble place, you know, it's pretty funny. You go, oh, we're gonna go to the squat and gobble. I go, what is that squat? I mean, just the name was so funny. I couldn't help but laugh, you know. But you said, oh, it's the one I used to go to when I was in college, you know. And, but you know, your energy and your work ethic is just unbelievable. You know, I never seen anybody work as hard as you. You know, and you know, I'm amazed at it, that your energy. I call you Energizer Bunny. You know, and I'm thinking, where do you get that kind of work ethic? I mean, you know, just the physicality of what you do. And then I met your mom. I met your mom, and I'm going, holy cow, man. And then, you know, you tell me, oh, she still has a vending business. And I've run into her at Costco and places. That lady's chucking cases of water and soda and stuff, you know, and she's like, what, 80 something years old, man. I'm going, that's where Cliff gets it from. He gets it from his mom. And, you know, kudos to you, brother. You know, that, you know, I know you got a lot of passion, you got a lot of ideas and stuff, you know, and keep trudging forward. I know you will, you know, so yeah. And they're going to change you on that. And it's been a pleasure serving with you. It really has.
Yeah. Thank you, Clarke. Yeah, no, it's been wonderful working with you, and yeah, gonna miss you. Thanks.
I'm gonna see you guys around town, but you know, I'm not going to see you at the meetings. And Madison, you know, you became a first. You know, you became the first woman born and raised in Brisbane elected to the council. You know, and a young woman. You know, and I remember the conversation with your dad. You know, and ran into each other at lunch, and then, you know, he goes, oh, I know somebody might run, and I go, oh, who? He goes, well, I can't say. He goes, I promised, right? So he did promise, and I go, oh, come on, Ron. I go, tell me who it is. I go, I might support him. He goes, oh, okay, Madison. I go, oh, really? I go, yeah. I said, so tell her I'll sign her papers. I want to be the first one, you know, because I told you that when you were on the Park and Rec, when you interviewed on it. I said, I see you one day being on the city council. You know, and I know that probably wasn't a goal of yours, but I remember you as a kid, your mom used to come up and say, she'd say to me, your mom would go, you're Madison's favorite council person. You know, the girl, I go, wow, I go, he knows who we are. Yeah, and you're pretty astute. I remember you coming before the council and speaking. I don't know what you're like 6 or 7 years old, you know, 4 years old. Wow, amazing. But you know, I hope that you stay with it And, you know, I told you before, and I know it's tough. I know it's a tough job, and wearing a few hats here. And, you know, and I think it's quite a balancing act that you do, you know, and it's to get the roles, you know, to keep the roles, you know, separate. And, you know, and that's important. That's important for you to do. And kudos to you. And you keep it up, kiddo. You know, I'm impressed with you. And I like your thought process and the way you do things. So, you know, I really appreciate working with you. I got to admit, you made me tear up a little bit too, but, you know, I got anti-fog glasses on, so, you know, I won't fog up. And, but keep that emotion. It's real, you know, I mean, keep it real. So, you know, I love you too, you know, it's good.
Thanks, Clarke.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Karen, God, Karen, you're so funny. You know, I've enjoyed the last let's see, it was 3 years working with you. You know, I remember sitting down with you, and, you know, as I done with mostly everybody, and just trying to give them the way of the world as I see it. You know, not that I'm some great sage, which I'm not. You know, but I think it's important, you know, for people to get a foundation, and the foundation I got when I first elected was so invaluable. And, you know, you bring a lot of good things to the table, Karen, and that passion that you have, you know, it's just a fantastic energy, you know. And I remember when you and I and Renee Bovo at the time, Renee Marmion, we were all on the swimming pool committee as a citizen committee, and we'd go visit other pools around and stuff. And you and Renee always leading the charge, you know, that, oh, we need this and need that. And, you know, it's like, okay, you know, we get all this stuff together. And, you know, you had a great energy, and you still have it. And, you know, and you bring a lot to the table. And for Brisbane, we're lucky that you're on the council. And I'm happy you are, you know, and certainly supported you, and keep up the good work, you know, what you do. And, you know, Colleen, congratulations to you. And like I said earlier, that the citizens got it right, you know, and I know that you have a strong work ethic, and that you read your material, and that's important. And you're very rational, and you have a reasonableness about you, and a fair mind, you know. And I've always appreciated those things watching you in the planning commission, that I know you'll carry that forth to the council, because that's who you are. And those are important features to have, because, you know, that honesty, you know, when you're honest about things, that comes forth, you know, it comes true to people, you know, they see that, you know, and people appreciate it, you know, and they may get angry with you at times, you know, but, you know, it's going to pass, you know, that, hey, as long as what you're doing is for what you think is the best interest of Brisbane, and not some outside influence or whatever, then, you know, you'll never go wrong. And as long as your head hits the pillow at night and you go to sleep, you know it's right, because you got to live with that decision. So you damn well better make sure it's right, you know, because sometimes we make mistakes, you know, and those mistakes sometimes are reversible, sometimes they're not, you know. You never want to make a catastrophic mistake where it costs somebody their life, you know, or anything like that. You know, I'll say this to the whole council, is that anybody can make a decision, and I mean anybody. But there's good decisions and there's bad decisions, and there's decisions that you're not really making, you're just passing through, like state law and stuff like that. But when you make a decision, you know, you also got to think that you're the legislative body that's making that decision, and you have a staff that's going to carry that out through the administration. And when it comes to ordinances and stuff like that, just always say, what is the intent of this ordinance, right? Is you question that. And then me as a citizen, how would it apply to me? You know, it's like a process of looking that how would this apply to me if I'm just, you know, not on the council and everything like that. And you go, well, a lot of times, you know, things come out of that and you go, whoa, man, this wording is funny, or this language or something like that. And then you vet it out through staff. And a lot of times what comes out is get things changed around a little bit, you know, where it really makes more sense than what it was before. And so that's important. Yeah. So everything we do does affect Brisbane, but, you know, they do honor you in this position to make decisions for them, you know, and then that part of the public hearings, the listening to everybody is important. But you could have 50 people saying 50 different things, and it's like, how do you get that together? And then when your council, you know, is in deliberation and they're saying different things, is how do you combine everything to, you know, what maybe comes up with a better product? And sometimes that works out real well, sometimes it don't, you know. Sometimes, you know, you just can't get there, and you have to go with what you got and do the best you can, and then live with it. So council, good luck. And I'm going to say goodbye, because I ain't going to come to no meetings or tune in or any of that stuff. So, you know, you got my phone number. If you want to talk about something, man, let's find out. I'll be more than happy to talk with you. But I want to go on to talk about our staff through the years. So, you know, since I've been on the council for 27 years, we've only had 2 city managers now. One, Robin Leiter, and Clay Holstein. And Robin came here in 1985 and Clay did in 98. So 35 years with 2 city managers, and that's stability. You know, 27 years with only 13 council people, you know, that's pretty stable when you look at some of the other cities around. But 35 years with 2 city managers, is that stability has allowed us to do a lot of things, to get a lot of places in Brisbane from financial aspect and everything like that. And I really appreciated Robin Leiter when I came on to the city council, and her methodology of managing the city. And you know, Robin, I just loved Robin. You know, she was a great city manager. And then we hired Clay. You know, we went through the whole process of came down to 2 people, and Clay was one of them. And so we had a second interview. On the second interview, there was absolutely no question that Clay was the person for us. Absolutely no question. I mean, it's like when you talk about that old saying that cream rises to the top, Clay literally shot to the top. And, you know, we've been very fortunate. And Clay, I really, really appreciate your management style on how you empower your staff, your department heads, and allow them to make decisions, you know, that do come back to you. You don't micromanage, and, you know, you're a great team leader. And I've seen that, and I really appreciate that about you. You know, that, you know, you and I mean, we've talked a lot over the years and stuff like that. And you've always pretty much are the same, you know, that, you know, you have this methodology and it's successful, and I love you for it, man. It's just been a great combination, you know, on how you operate, and the people that you've hired. You know, I'll start with Randy Bro. You know, that Randy come here as a city engineer, had a water background and stuff like that. And Randy, you have a what I call the great can-do attitude, man. Everything that I've asked you over the years, man, it's like sometimes I can't get out of my seat and it's done. You know, it's like, whoa, how did that happen so fast? You know, and you know, you have this way about you, you know, that I don't know if it's your Marine Corps training or what, man, but you know, you are a person to get stuff done, and you do it in a very effective way. And I'll tell you, we're fortunate to have you in our water system, you know, for fire and stuff like that, and everything that you put together through the years, man, is thank you, Randy. Thank you so much, you know, because it's been a pleasure to know you. You know, not that I'm not going to unknow you, but you know, it's been a pleasure to know you through the years and working with you. And you know, I love the engineering aspect of things, you know, and so I probably ask you more detailed questions than anybody, than any of the department heads, because I would really kind of get into it, you know, and then and I used to think, well, man, you don't think I'm being offensive, right? And he goes, oh, no, man, I love it that you ask this stuff. He goes, most people don't ask, you know, and I go, you kind of start barreling in the weeds with me, you know, and he goes, I appreciate that, you know, and so I always appreciated it, you know, that you'd come back. And even if you didn't have the answer of something, you know, that you eventually would get it, you know, that and come up with it. Oh, this is why. You know, oh, yeah, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So I always appreciated that about you, Randy, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And Maria, if you're still on there, Maria, I think you're our second HR manager. So we only had, let me jump back to Randy for a second. Randy, so you were only the second city engineer since I've been on the council. So, you know, again, there's that stability, you know, and you've been here, what 20 years now? Almost 20 years, right? Yeah.
Sure, it'll be 20 years May 1st.
Yeah. Wow. And that's amazing, you know. And then Maria, you know, you were our second HR manager. I remember when I first got elected, we didn't even have HR. They go, H what? HR, no, human resources, man. There's only one computer in City Hall. It was in Robin Leiter's office. It was one of those Macintosh, you know, the little square thing, like about, you know, 8 inches high, you know, by 3 inches wide. And that was it. That was the computer. I go, don't we have email? I said, no email. Email? Nobody has computers to email. I go, wow, we're kind of pretty archaic, you know. And people used to tell me when you get out there, oh man, the City Hall is so corrupt, you know, and you got to look for the corruption, you know. And I did. I went looking, you know, looking in file cabinet. I don't know what I was looking for, you know. It's like, you know, I didn't even know what I was doing, you know. And turn around. People go, did you find anything? I go, man, it's just not that organized. I go, you know, I come from a corporate background, this stuff. I go, oh no, man. I go, if they're corrupt, I go, this is just kind of chaos, man. It's like, you know, organized chaos, man. It was pretty funny. But I learned a lot from that. You know, I learned that, you know, sometimes what happens is people come up with a conclusion and then they build a story that ends with the conclusion. Then they tell the story forward after they build it backwards. And it's like all the pieces fit together perfectly. And go, what a moment. So that was a defining moment for me. And so Maria, thank you for all that you've done through the years. I know you're with a new city now, I think Foster City, and we have a new HR manager, but you know, I know they miss you around here in City Hall. I know I haven't seen you for a while and I missed you, and I'm glad that you came on, and, you know, take care and congratulations in your endeavors. And yeah, when we did the Peninsula Congestion Relief Alliance and, you know, all those other things, all the garbage contracts, you know, and interesting stuff actually, you know. And so you wore many hats here, not just human resources. And so you did a great job, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Clarke. Much appreciated. And I miss you guys too.
And Lisa, God, Lisa, man, our homegrown first, well, I think you were probably the second homegrown police officer, I think next to Rick Howe. I don't know if Rick was born and raised here, but something kind of tells me he was. But I always remember him as a kid. We lived next door to his parents. So, you know, and then Rick went in the Navy, and I'd see him every once in a while. I think he went in the Navy in 1948. So but you are unbelievable. When you became the chief of police, now we've only had 2 chief of police since I've been here. I mean, since I've been on the council in 27 years. It was Tom Hitchcock, and then there was you. You came in right in the middle of the Great Recession. Now, I'm proud of the fact that Brisbane never laid off an employee the whole time that I was on the council. In the last 27 years, we never laid a person off. But we did it through attrition, where we lose people we didn't hire. And your department got very, very thin. I mean, where it was only 2 officers per shift. And I was really concerned. I used to tell you that I'm really concerned about, the burnout for your officers. And you did a masterful job on managing all that. And that was a really, really impressive job that you did. And Lisa, I know that the community-oriented policing, you're the epitome of that, and you know the community and you love the community. You never get excited about stuff, and you got a great sense of humor and a great demeanor, and you got to be a pleasure to work for, because you're certainly a pleasure to work with, and I've always appreciated you, and you hit a lot of firsts when you became the chief of police. I mean, is the first born chief of police here, the first woman chief of police, the first minority chief of police, all those things you hit number one, and it's pretty amazing. I love you, and I'm going to see you around, I'm sure. And, I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Clarke. We appreciate you and all of the support you've given the police department throughout the years.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Stuart, we were talking today about that back in, I want to say it was in 1997 or 98 when they had that armed robbery in Los Angeles, where these guys used automatic weapons, and they were all dressed in all these, the garb and everything like that. And LA police had a hard time handling them. They actually had to go to a gun store and get automatic weapons to match the fire. And when that happened, Brisbane, decided, hey, maybe we need to have our officers armed with automatic weapons. And Lisa came in and she modeled the old shotgun, which she was, I think it was 8 months pregnant at the time.
I was.
Yeah, Chief has Lisa model it. She's 8 months pregnant. Her stomach's sticking out there, kind of like mine does, but hers went away. And using this shotgun and it's just all. And then the AR-15 with the adjustable stock is like, what a difference, And so, we of course the council purchased them, and then some people in Brisbane go, what do you mean? What do our police officers? They don't need automatic or semi-automatic weapons. What are you guys doing? Allowing them to get that. And some people, hopefully nothing ever happens where they have to use those. But if something does, I want our officers to be able to have the best equipment that there is out there, from cars, from weaponry, from safety gear, all that, because you never know. You never know when something's going to happen, some kind of emergency. The same thing goes with our fire department. You want them to have great equipment, especially when your life's on the line. You say, wow, I'm sure glad they had that, So thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Clarke.
Yeah. And Stuart, are you here? Stuart, where are you? Stuart, oh man, Stuart, God. Stuart, you're an amazing guy, Clay, I know why Clay hired you after, actually serving with you in the first term, I think when I retired in 2001, I think you got here like in, I want to say 99 or 2000, but the short time I knew you was like, wow, this guy's really good. I mean, he's really, really good. And so you really, really proved that mettle when I came back, and we started going through this what I call a sawtooth economy. Where one quarter we're up, one quarter we're down, and we're going, what's going on? You go, well, I don't really know, but it's not a technical recession. But I go, man, we're heading to something, right? And he goes, yeah, it kind of looks that way. And all the cities, a lot of the cities around the county were pooling their money with the county pool. And I think it was with Lehman Brothers. And Stuart, you came up and you said to the council, I don't think that's a good idea. And I think we should put our money here. And that, I believe, financially saved our butt, because all the cities and county got shellacked, and they lost a lot of money when that recession hit. I mean, when it hit hard, and for lack of a better term, the chickens came home to roost. We fared through that well, and we did that through your financial savvy, Stuart, and I'll never forget that. And one of the things that I really love about you is when we're sitting in the conference room sometime, you used to sit in the corner and you listened to everything. You heard everybody talk. And then sometimes we're having a difficult coming to a decision, so to speak. And I go, what do you think, Stuart? I look in the corner, and you would just come back with everything that was said verbatim. And then you would come back with a solution that's like, oh yeah, man, that resonates, and I love that about you. And it was so unassuming, that most people don't know that about you. And I got to tell you, I always appreciated that. And I hope that my colleagues see that. I hope they see that about you, because I think that you will be a great city manager. I really do. And I don't think that, not to put him in any position, but I think, going forward and Clay decides to retire here, that you save your money on a recruitment, because you got some good in-house candidates. You're one of them, and so I appreciate that about you, Stuart, and your even-keeled demeanor. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Clarke. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Let's see, John Sawicki. Is John around? Well, anyway, I want to say it about John because, John's another kind of unassuming guy, and really appreciate his style. That it's kind of really low key and just results oriented, and he just comes up with the data and says, well, this is the way it is. This is this is that. And I've had numerous talks with John over the year, and he really kind of educated me on a lot of things, and it was just kind of in a factual manner, just giving the facts. Just these are the facts. This is what it is. This is what this is. This is what this is. And John, if you're listening, if not, just want to let you know how much I appreciate you and how much I appreciate the way you go about your job, and I want to thank you very much. And Tom, you've been our city attorney for the last few years, and we had jump back to Stuart for a moment. We've only had three finance directors since I've been on the council. It started with Gol Ramchandani, and then Evelyn Payne, and then Stuart came. Now Stuart's been here 20 plus years. Again, that longevity, that it's really helped solidify us. Same thing with the city attorney. We had Hal Topple for over 20 years, and then we had David, and then Michael, and now Tom. And Tom, it's been a pleasure working with you the last couple of years. Actually, it's been pretty fun, because we could I think we have a good rapport on how we communicate, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that about you. You got a good sense of humor, and but you're so full of knowledge in the law and an unbelievable wide spectrum from a political sense. And I've never met anybody like you on that. You're kind of a rare dude, for that aspect. And to let you know, I do appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And Mario, I see Mario there. Mario, God, you're police commander now. I remember when you came to Brisbane, and you did such a great job, when you were a shift supervisor, when you became sergeant, and I'm not even sure where you came from. And I've known you for years, and we always had a good working relationship, and you're fun. Then I find out who your mom is, right? And I find that out because she's there at a function one time, and I'm thinking, wow, hey, God, I haven't seen you in years. Turns out I worked with her for over 20 years. And I go, she goes, I'm here with my son. I go, who? And she goes, Mario. I go, Mario. I go, Mario? Mario's your son? And then it made sense. I'm thinking, I go, did you know Mario? And he goes, yeah, I did. I go, you never told me. You never said nothing, And it was kind of one of those funny moments, because I worked with his mom for 20 years, man, down in Silicon Valley. And it's just like, wow, what a small world, So I always appreciated your professionalism, Mario, and how you handled your crew and everything like that. And now you're now the police commander and stuff like that. And, very well deserving, Mario. And, thank you for all you've done for the city of Brisbane. And you've been here a long time too now, maybe almost second to Lisa.
Yeah. Thank you, Clarke.
Tell your mom hello.
I will. Thank you very much.
And I want to say I know I'm kind of making this long, but, you gave me the floor, so I'm going to keep it for a while. If I'm boring you, I'm sorry about that. But anyway, I want to say something about some of our other staff members that I work closely with, because really only had 3 city clerks since I've been here. Started out with Angie Reyes, and Angie left, I think, after the first or second year I was on the council, and then Sherry Schroeder became like an interim city manager until she took a bunch of classes. But Sherry is really, really efficient. I really like Sherry, working with her. And so I call it Sherry Schroeder Spediacci Smith, S, it's had a lot of S's. But so Sherry was the second city clerk, and she worked for 20 years. And now we have Ingrid. And Ingrid, when Sherry left, I'm thinking, God, who's Clay going to get, man, to fill Sherry's shoes? That's a big pair of shoes, because, she's just, Sherry's did this, she did that, and she did it. And wow, Ingrid, you blow my mind, because you have done such a fantastic job. It's like, you didn't even miss a beat, and it's like you were totally new to the job. And so thank you, Ingrid, for everything that you've done and keeping me on track. And Angel, you as the assistant city clerk, thank you so much too for everything that you've done. And I still remember, when you came to me and said, hey, who do I talk to about a job, and I think it was a part-time job for city of Brisbane. And I go, oh, you talk to Maria, but what was kind of special about that is you came and talked to me about it. I mean, so we didn't know each other all that well, but we saw each other. Our kids went to school together, and stuff. And so you came in and approached me, and I'm really happy they hired you, because what an asset you are to the city. you know, that you started out as a part-time and then you worked in planning and now you're an assistant city clerk or deputy city clerk. And, you know, congratulations on just doing the job that you do. And, you know, you're an integral part of Brisbane. And I know Ingrid's right hand and Clay's right hand. I mean, and the council's right hand, because there's a lot of stuff that you do too. And I appreciate that. And I have another person, Caroline Chung. Oh, Caroline's on here. Is Caroline? Anyway, Caroline, thank you so much for all the stuff that you've done. You know, and for years, it had to be at least the first 2 years that you worked here, I would call you
Christine.
Stephanie.
Stephanie? I think there was a Christine too.
Yeah, I probably called you Christine too. So, I mean, yeah. I called you a lot of different names and none of them were right. And I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't get your name right, you know, and you were so patient with me that you just smile and you would never say nothing about it, you know, and then I go, oh, that's not her name, you know, what is it? And I just couldn't remember it, you know, but thank you for your patience on my missaying your name, and you know, but you became a real integral part to me, you know, as far as, you know, the help that you gave on when I was mayor, you know, and the last couple of times, and you know, as a communication manager, I'm not even sure, you started out as an intern, I think, right? Here,
communications intern.
Yeah, and then Clay hired you permanently, and now I know why. And I mean, you got such a great demeanor about you that, you know, we're fortunate to have you. Clay's fortunate to have you on his staff. That's where he's a smart guy. You know, he hires the right people. You know, it's got to make his job easy, you know. So Clay, you're a good guy, man, a smart guy on doing that. So Caroline, I always really appreciated you on all the work that you've done, all the help that you've given me through the years, and keep up the good work. You know, I think that you have a long career ahead of you, and working with the city, and hopefully you keep with it. You know, I think that I think you got a great career path, and I hope that you stay on it. And
thanks, Clark.
Thank you.
And +1, what Clay said about the Veterans Flag Raising event. Hope you come back for that.
For what now?
Hope you come back for that and lead us in that ceremony.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I got, you know, people go, what are you going to do? You're just going to retire? And it's like, no, man, Jesus. No, I got so much stuff going on right now. It's like, I'm so happy I'm not going to be on the council, because I don't have time to read anymore. You know, it's to study everything, because if you don't study your packet and stuff, what a disservice you do to not only yourself but the city as a whole. And it's important to really, you know, get that together. And Ray Miller taught me that, you know, and I was always very indebted to Ray about that. You know, that he was a good teacher from that aspect. And Colleen, I want to jump back to you. You know, I want to say something about this. I'm going to genderize this a little bit, because, you know, back in the 70s, Anya Miller was actually the first city council woman elected. Before it was just all men, right? And then Janine Hodge was elected not too long after that. And so Anya and Janine were the first two women to serve together on a city council. Then years went by, and there was no other woman elected until I think 1990. I believe that Clara Johnson was elected to the council, maybe it was 91, but she was elected to the council. And we only had one woman serve on the council at a time. Then Clara left, Seppi came on. Then Seppi left, Clara came back, you know, kind of went that way. And then when Terry got elected, we had two women. And then when Lori got elected, it was unprecedented, because this is the first time we had I think, no, it was still 2 women. Yeah, 3 women, because it was Madison was elected, and then Terry, and so Lori, Terry, and Madison. And now Colleen, you're a first. You're the first to be a woman for you to get elected. So Cliff, you're literally the odd man out now. Sorry, but but that's unprecedented in Brisbane, and it shows the electorate, some of the changes that we've gone through, as a city, because that never would have happened back in the 60s when it just wouldn't have. That's just the way things were then. And so I'm really proud of that fact. I'm really proud of that fact that that we have not just women, but bright, articulate women who really want to serve the city and do things right. And I know you guys and gals are going to do a good job. And I just know that. I know you will. And be conscientious on your decisions. And if I left anybody out, Gina, is Gina still there? But Gina's not. But Gina, if you are, thank you for your support to Brisbane on the MTC, Metropolitan Transportation Commission. That your unwavering support has been really, really important to us, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate our friendship and our conversations over the years. I know your father, Lou Pappin, was on the assembly for many years, and and then he left when they had term limits, and he actually came back later on. And you and your sister, I know, get that from your dad, because she serves on the city council in San Mateo. So Diane. Anyway, I appreciated the friendship and all the support for Brisbane. And Wayne, if you're still there, as I said earlier, I appreciate that. And Michelle, I appreciate your friendship, and I love you. I've known you since before kindergarten, and we go back a long, long way. I mean, we went from kindergarten to high school together, and you were always taller than me.
Yeah, I was.
Even when we graduated from 8th grade, you towered over me. I was 5'4",
and I was 5'5".
Yeah, but I grew a little bit after that.
Yeah, a little here and there.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Leanne, thank you. All the folks, from Jackie Spears' office, from Kevin Mullins' office, and our new state senator. Yeah, we heard from Jerry Hill last meeting, and also David Canepa. And David, I know you're not on right now, but I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done for Brisbane, all the support that you've given us, and you were really instrumental in getting us money, on a low-cost loan with the county, and the programs you do countywide, and with your work on Seton Hospital. And you've really been a great supervisor, a very active and communicative supervisor, and I appreciate your hard work. And I could see why nobody ran against you, and what a lucky thing. I mean, it's like, but I always believe in going through elections, but some people just get really lucky and don't have to run. But a lot of that's due to the job that they do, and people say, I don't need to run against this person because you know what, I really like what they do, and their heart's really there. And so thank you so much, David. And Vanessa, thank you so much for your support too as a friend. I've always enjoyed your business, and you as a person, and your family. You got great kids, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Clarke.
And to end it with my my family, my brother and sister-in-law and all them, that our brother used to say, "What are you, nuts, man? Why do you do this stuff, man?" He goes, "I couldn't do this," but we always had a funny moment with it, that, you're insane, and it's like, well, there is something about serving the community though, you know, because I always call myself the accidental council member because I really didn't want to do it, you know, and how I've lasted so long, I don't know, you know, I really don't. And, you know, I used to do all these things, and I would do it while I was on the council, and I used to work night shift, and I'd work this compressed work week of 12 hours on, 12 hours off, you know, pretty much like a police department, and I would spend hours upon hours of just studying my package, you know, just reading, and I would reread it, and, you know, and I'd take notes and everything like that, and at the same time have all these different ideas, you know, that you know, we could do this, we could do that, we can, you know, all these things we could do, and you know, it just I don't have much left in the tank for that, you know. Now I got some stuff I want to do personally, you know. I still like to go to Europe, you know, do my dream vacation, but I don't think that's going to happen, so not nowadays. But anyway, thanks for all the kind things that everybody said. Is like I got 23 years of kind things, and most of the time people don't say kind things to you, you know, when you're on the council, but you know, that goes with the territory, you know, it does. So, you know, you got to have thick skin. And Mitch, thank you so much. You know, it's been a pleasure working with you. I'm glad that you're our economic development person, and you know, I think you've done a great job. I always appreciated you on the chamber, and I do remember those meetings at 7 a.m. at the AAA building.
Thanks, Clarke.
Some of them were pretty interesting.
Yes, they were.
You know, I don't know if anybody ever did that so much after I did. You know, we go to the chamber meetings at 7 a.m. in the morning, but it was pretty interesting, and working with the board, and so you know, there's just so many things that to talk about over the years, you know, that I think I'm running out of words because I'm losing my voice, and you know, I do want to say I'm community development director for, you know, John Swicky, that you know, when I got here, Carol Nelson was the community development director, and then we had Bill Prince, and then John. So we've only had three. Again, that longevity, that stability, and I think with the council combined with staff and with our citizenry, we've done pretty darn good. We've done pretty darn good as a city, that, you know, we've been able to provide community amenities, and we still have money in the bank. You know, even going through this recession, you know, some of the things that the council set up a few years ago on how we do our reserves, and it's been really important. You know, a lot of cities don't do what we do, and you know, I think it's been very prudent, and you know, it's important to have a good staff that you work with, and good counsel, you know, and once you've done it, you know, you go, wow, man, that's some amazing stuff, you know, and you know, in council, you're only as good as your staff, and if you have a great staff, you'll make great decisions. Okay, so back to where I began all this is, thank you all very much. I love you all, and I don't know if you can see this, but I'm saying goodbye.
Well, Clarke, thank you so much for all the service you've done, and all the memories you've given us, and all the tall tales you've told. And happy sailing.
Thank you.
You'd get a standing ovation if we all could stand and still be respectfully seen in our Zoom monitors.
Okay, I'm tearing up now.
Well, thank you so much for all you've done.
Madison, you're a great crier. Yeah, thank you.
Well, we'll let you sign off for a little bit, and with the council's approval, should we move on to item G, or do we need to take a couple minute break?
I think a couple of minutes break would be nice, Madam Mayor.
Yes, if we could do a 5 minute, try to get back in a 5 minute break. Is that acceptable to the city clerk?
I'll go ahead and mute everybody in the meeting.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome back. Ingrid, if you can let us know when we're going back live, when we've got the council members back in.
Will do.
Thank you.
And we're back on.
Thank you. And we have all the council members present.
Yes.
Thank you. So that brings us to item G. Welcome back. Item G, to consider adoption of resolution 2020-66, adopting the County of San Mateo's certification of votes and declaring results to fill 3 4-year terms for City Council of the Brisbane Municipal election held on November 3rd, 2020. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council members. Resolution number 2020-66 declares the results of the election that was held on November 3, 2020. Karen Cunningham, Cliff Lenz, and Colleen Mackin were elected to serve on the City Council through December 2024. Certification of votes from the County of San Mateo has been received, and the official results will be an exhibit added to the resolution. There are a total of 2,684 voters from the City of Brisbane who casted their votes for this election. This is about an 88% turnout. It is being recommended to adopt resolution number 2020-66.
May I get a motion to adopt
Motion to adopt.
and a second?
Second.
We have a motion and an adopt and a second. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Conway,
Aye.
Councilmember Cunningham,
You're muted, Karen.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Lentz,
Aye.
and Mayor O'Connell.
Aye, thank you. And with that, we'll move on to item H, which is the administration of oath of office of newly elected council members. And outgoing council member W. Clarke Conway will administer the oath to Karen Cunningham, Cliff Lentz, and Colleen Mackin.
Thank you. This gives me a great pleasure to do this, actually. So Madison, you were the first person I ever gave an oath to. So Karen, Cliff, and Colleen. So I'd like you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. Okay. I state your name.
I, Karen Cunningham.
I, Cliff Lentz,
Do solemnly affirm
Do solemnly
solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States.
and the Constitution of the State of California
The Constitution of the State of California.
against all enemies,
Against
all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign
and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the
to the
Constitution
Constitution of the United States
and to the Constitution of the State of California,
and to the Constitution of the State of
State
California,
of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and
that
that
I
I will
well and will faithfully
discharge
discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
duty
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
enter.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you all.
Congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations, Council Member Colleen Mackin
Thank you.
from former Council Member Conway.
Never to be replaced.
So that moves us to item I, which is the election of new mayor and mayor pro tem. Do I have any nominations for the office of mayor?
I'd like to nominate Karen Cunningham.
And do we have a second?
Second.
And a roll call vote?
You're muted.
Ingrid,
Councilmember Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Lentz,
Aye.
Councilmember Mackin,
Aye.
and Mayor O'Connell.
aye. Congratulations to the new mayor.
Congratulations, Karen.
Thank you.
Cunningham. I'm going to finish out this item with the if they could call for nominations for the office of mayor pro tem.
I'd like to nominate Cliff Lentz.
And is there a second?
I second that.
Great. And with that, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Lentz,
Aye.
Councilmember Mackin,
Aye.
and Mayor O'Connell.
Aye. Thank you. With that, I would like to call for the administration of oath of office of the newly elected mayor and mayor pro tem.
Should we go ahead and do this separate together?
You want to do it separate, Karen? You know, you should do it separate. It's such a special occasion for you.
Okay.
Or do you want, or we can do it together, whatever you want to do.
Together. I'm a together kind of person.
Yeah, all right, all right.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Karen Cunningham,
Do solemnly affirm that
I, Cliff Lentz, do solemnly affirm
I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the
the
Constitution
Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
And I will bear true
Bear
faith
true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
the Constitution of the United
the
States.
Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely
That I take this obligation freely
Take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without any
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I
That I will and will faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the
the
duties.
duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Karen. You're gonna do a wonderful job.
Congratulations to you both.
Thank you, Terry.
Congrats, Karen, Mayor Cunningham.
Thanks, Clarke.
And with this, I am going to abdicate my mythical gavel. Well, there's one on the wall, over to Mayor Cunningham to finish out the meeting.
Thank you, Terry. So moving on to item Okay. Recognize outgoing Mayor Terry O'Connell for her service. Does staff have something to say before I do my thing?
Mayor
We
Cunningham,
just let you do your thing.
would you like to do your statements? Also incoming council member Colleen Mackin?
Sure. I'm having a technical issue here.
Are others having trouble hearing Mayor Cunningham?
I'm sorry, Tom?
I'm asking if others are having trouble hearing you. It's coming in and out for me. I wanted to make sure it was me and not others.
Oh.
I'm hearing her fine.
Yeah, you're coming in clear, Karen.
Clay, did you hear the vote, the oath clearly?
It was because Cliff was talking and Karen was talking at the same time, and Cliff's mic is so much stronger that I think it picks up his voice and drowned her voice out.
But as long as I guess it was my connection. I just want to make sure people heard the oath. And as long as they did,
I definitely heard like parts of her oath and not parts of others, but I could tell she was talking.
okay. I want to make sure it was my connection. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
So Ingrid, I'm missing something here. I have the proclamation, but I don't know.
So Karen, I think that the next order was that you and Cliff and Colleen could all make short statements about your election.
Oh, okay. I completely missed that and I do apologize. So let's start with Colleen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd first just like to thank everyone who guaranteed I had a chance to sit here. You know who you are. I couldn't have done this without you. All of your campaign signs, donations, talking to neighbors, and your unbounded enthusiasm and sharing that with me because I needed that as well. I'd like to say that I'm not strangers to anybody on the council. And so I am extremely optimistic about the coming year, working with all of you. And I think we have a very interesting year that we'll be facing, to say the least. But I think there will be some really productive changes we're going to see. And I'm thrilled to be part of it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Colleen. Great to have you aboard.
Thank you.
Cliff, what would you like to say?
All right, with that, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank all the folks who supported me during the campaign, and all the people who opened up their doors during the election and wanted to talk about the issues. And I have to say, of all of the elections that I've been a part of, this one particular election, more people opened up the door and wanted to talk than any of the other ones. And and people wanted to be listened to. They wanted to share their concerns and also just wanted to share their love of our town. And I think we have a great council. And Clarke, I know we talked a lot about you today, and but you really are that rock that put us in a really great direction, and we're not going to let you down. And Colleen, great campaign. You're going to be wonderful on our council. And Karen, congratulations on becoming the mayor and running a successful campaign again. And you're going to do wonderful things this year. It's going to be great shoes to fill because when you're the mayor, people will come to you, as you already have found. People want to have those special questions answered by you, and you're going to deliver for them, and you're going to do our city proud. So excited for this upcoming year.
Thanks, Cliff. Yes, this was I mean, how do we describe this year? I don't think we can. There's been so many things happen. There's been so many personal things happen to so many people on the city council and within our city. It's been a challenge that I am very grateful to have been part of this year. And I just want everybody to know the next few years, we are going to have to tighten our belts, pull up our socks, suck it up, and work even harder. I'm very grateful to past city councils and our staff for being so fiscally prudent, because, you know, as with the, you know, the recession of 2008, we did not have to lay off anybody, and we will not have to lay off anybody again this time. We may be in a position where we don't hire more people and we don't have as many fancy things happening for the next couple of years, but we have weathered this awful year incredibly well. And I'm so grateful for our small community that, you know, we really do come together so strongly. Everybody is taking care of everybody else. We've got new friendships that have been made because of the outreach from all the different people who are making sure everybody else is okay. And so that's the challenge that I hold really dearly to my heart, is that we're all going to work really hard together and outreach within our community and make sure nobody slips through the cracks, and that we keep this ship really upright and keep everything really tight together. And that's my goal. That's my promise to you, is that I will work incredibly hard to make sure that we don't fall through the cracks, and that, you know, we all can come through this together and much stronger than we even think right now, because there are so many things still coming at us, and we're standing there with some pretty big butts, and I think we're going to do really well. So thanks to this great team, we will work really hard next year. Okay. Now do we move on, Ingrid? Okay. So with that, Terry, you're amazing. You've done such a great job in such a horrible, hard year. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have worked with you. So we have a proclamation for you. Think about that. So it's a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Brisbane recognizing Mayor Terry O'Connell for her service to the City of Brisbane 2020. Whereas Terry O'Connell served as Mayor of the City of Brisbane from December 12, 2019 to December 10th, 2020. And whereas during this very unprecedented time, she led with the city with grace. Her calm leadership style has inspired many to remain strong as we weather this COVID-19 pandemic together. And whereas during her year as mayor, she presided over numerous city council meetings and city events, most of which required tremendous flexibility as we pivoted to hold them safely, virtually, and she continued to actively listen to the needs of the community members. She also co-hosted with fellow council members, virtual town halls to stay connected with the residents during the pandemic and pass along resources and information being shared on regular calls with the county manager's office, as well as the health department, and approved with her fellow council members safety improvements to open space, neighborhood streets, pedestrian routes, and the city's dog park. And whereas she spent many hours working to solve issues and explore new projects for council consideration as part of her work in numerous council subcommittees and county assignments, including the following: the Airport Land Use Committee, Airport Community Roundtable, Association of Bay Area Governments, League of California Cities, Brisbane Baylands Community Advisory Group, North County Fire Authority Board of Directors, Fire Services, Caltrain Modernization, Local Policymaker Group, SMC Pre-Hospital EMS Group, Airport Noise Subcommittee, Planning Issues Subcommittee, Fiscal and Administrative Policy Subcommittee, Infrastructure, Utilities and Franchise Subcommittee, Cannabis Issues Ad Hoc, LunaFest Film Festival Ad Hoc Committees, Sierra Point Design Guidelines Ad Hoc Committee, Liaisons to Open Space and Ecology Committee, and Liaison to Planning Commission. And whereas she remained a strong advocate for City of Brisbane on the county, state, and national levels. She firmly opposed the California High-Speed Rail Authority's proposal to locate a rail yard in Brisbane and joined the Climate Mayor's call for bold action to protect our planet and build a more just economy in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas, under her leadership, the city also responded to the global social movement, calling an end to police brutality and racial injustice with the adoption of the resolution affirming the city's commitment to stand in solidarity with the Black community and condemn racism. And whereas, as mayor, she hosted many citywide events marking important milestones. This past July, she received on behalf of the city the Reach Code Award for Innovation from Sustainable San Mateo County. She hosted the first Black Lives Matter special flag raising ceremony. She also presided over the new Brisbane Library dedication ceremony. One of her final acts as mayor was lighting the festival tree at the city's 34th annual Festival of Lights, where she was accompanied by Volunteers of the Year, Joe Sully and Vicky Smith. Now, therefore, be it resolved that after a year of dedicated service as the mayor of the city of Brisbane, we thank Mayor O'Connell for her dedication and leadership to her community as she reminded us of our personal responsibilities to ensure we continue to move forward safely and ultimately more resilient than we have ever done before. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. And I will be very brief. I could not have gotten through this unusual year without the help of the council and staff, my friends and family. It truly was a very bizarre year to be mayor, and with so many adversities, it in some ways was helpful that most things were virtual. In some ways, it made it more difficult. But again, without the assistance of the entire community, I could not have gotten through it. So I thank you for allowing me to be able to do this. Thank you.
Okay, now moving on to item 7, old
Oh,
business.
Madam Mayor, if we can say something.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So, Terry, you know, I thought you did an amazing job serving as our mayor this year, with all the adversity that, you know, our community went through, what of course you had gone through, you know, and you never like said, hey, you know what, I need to take a break. You know, you just always stepped up to the plate, always handled yourself so professionally. You know, this was a tough year, and we needed someone who had that resiliency, and thank goodness that you were the one to take the mantle this year for us. So great job, and looking forward to continuing to serve with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cliff.
Madison.
Terry, I'm just so in awe of everything that you did this year. And, you know, many people don't know that not only were you dealing with the pandemic, but you were dealing with, you know, a personal loss this year, and quite a journey that led up to that, pretty much your entire term as mayor. And, you know, I think just weathering a pandemic in this place of, you know, so much responsibility is a lot to have on your shoulders, to figure out, you know, how are we going to mobilize the community, and how are we going to make sure that things stay afloat, and how are we going to bring people together. But then on top of all of that, you dealt with something that is really, for many people, it's very life-shattering. And so to watch you manage both of those things at the same time, and like, I know you had so many hard days, but like, you always showed up. You always showed up, and you were so strong through that I really don't know how you did it. I do not know. And I think back on, this year, and while you had so much on your plate, you were the leader that we needed to get us through this time. And so, I think being a council person is a job of high reward, but it's a job of great sacrifice. And when you're mayor, you have all these responsibilities, but then you have all this fun stuff that you get to do. And for you this year, you had so much more of the sacrifice. And so I am deeply indebted to you for all the hard work that you did. And, I'm so honored that I get to work with you in this capacity. So thank you so much for leading us and for everything that you've done for us this year.
Thank you, Madison. You helped.
Colleen, would you like to say something?
Yes, I would. You can look across the country and see how different regions and different states and different cities fare. And how well they do often is truly the leadership. And to convey the stability is so important. And you have just been rock solid, Terry. I don't know how you did it. I'm in awe. Zoom meetings and the first months of the year trying to do that and also be a mayor, it just boggles my mind, because just overcoming that initial technology and maintaining your composure and keeping everyone in Brisbane calm and careful, safe, sane, all of that, with all of the obstacles that you had in your life, is just all I can say is that those are some broad shoulders, and you were heroic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colleen.
Would anybody else like to say something to Terry? No? Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Actually, I would like to say that I never doubted for a second that Terry could do this. And that's why I've supported her from day one for this role. She's been amazing. Even if we don't always agree, she's been amazing. That's all.
I'll have one rebuttal to that. And, Clarke said that I'd make my friends cry when I was on the council. I have.
Anyone else before we move on? All right, everybody dry your tears. Let's go. Okay, now we will move on to item 7, old business. Item L, use of Housing Authority funds to assist low moderate renters, homeowners with payments due to COVID-19 related issues. This item was not discussed at the City Council member meeting of November the 19th and was continued by the council. Staff report, please.
Yes, on October 15th, the City Council allocated $100,000 from its housing fund for housing assistance. On November 3rd, there was a subcommittee that met to discuss what the parameters of that program would be. The staff report outlines the parameters. The eligibility would be for incomes that are 80% of annual median income. For a family of 4, this is $139,200. That the person would need to live in Brisbane, not related to the landlord, have a signed rental agreement, was current with rent as of March 16th of 2020, would have accumulated past due rent, not receiving other COVID-19 related assistance. There's other COVID related assistance and the subcommittee felt that they did not want people to double dip into that at this point in time. That they don't have savings, savings are not available to cover the rent. They thought that the grant amount could be a maximum of $4,000 per family. It would pay for up to 80% of the rent owed. The payment would be made to the landlord, and the landlord would need to forgive up to the $5,000 of the rent. So for example, a renter who owes $2,500 in past due rent, the city would pay the landlord $2,000 and the remaining $500 would be forgiven. An example of a renter owes $8,000 in rent, the city would pay the landlord $4,000, the landlord would forgive $1,000 and the renter would still owe $3,000. This is similar to the program that is being done through the County of San Mateo. The priorities for the program would be if we get more applications than funds are available. Families with children under the age of 18 living in the unit. The feeling of the subcommittee was that they wanted to help those with younger children first, if that was needed. People who have pre-existing medical conditions, which are impacted by the pandemic, and those who are lower income individuals. It would be a one-time application during that period of time. And then if all the funds were not used, the council would look at reallocating funds for another application process. The subcommittee asked me if there was an outside agency that would be able to run our program, and I contacted the Samaritan House, and they are running programs like this throughout the county. Their cost to administer the program is $12,000. Staff would recommend that we take the administration cost out of the general fund to allow for the full $100,000 be available for grants. If there are any questions.
Any questions for staff?
Madam Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Stuart, when you say the cost from Samaritan House is $12,000, could you expound on that? Is that an annual fee? Is it a program related fee?
That would be the cost that they would charge us for administering the program. So they would take in all the applications. They would determine the eligibility of all of the people who applied. They would then release the funds. So they would do all the administrative work, and the city would not need to do the administrative work. They would not need to determine who was eligible. We would give them the eligibility requirements, and then they would do all the processing.
So this is a flat fee, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Until the funds are exhausted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Terry?
Madam Mayor, in your experience, Stuart, is a little over 10% fee a reasonable fee for this type of administration? And would that also keep it from being, I hate to say, politically motivated or favoritism shown by the city? Is that one of the upticks of having a third-party administrator?
I would agree that it is one of those things that as a city, it's always difficult to determine who is eligible, that, you know, we know people better, that we would want to, you know, we know our residents. So I think having Samaritan House be our administrator would allow us to, as you say, take out the politics, take out the friendships, take out all those things that people might question us over, whether or not we're doing it across the board. You figure administration is usually in a 10 to 15% range for most things. So $12,000 would be within that realm from what I would expect.
Okay. And then also, I know when we had briefly, discussed setting up this fund, that I had been one of the proponents to make it renters only or renters predominant. It has been brought up by the public to me to see if there were a way to include homeowners that didn't have other recourse. And I just didn't know if that had been looked into at all by staff.
We would be able to, if the person meets the income eligibility requirements, we could have homeowners involved. But since the council gave direction to the subcommittee to have it be renters, they developed a renters only policy.
Okay.
If council would like to change that, we can change what the eligibility requirements would be.
Okay, thank you.
Madison, Cliff, do you have any questions or comments?
I mean, I thought that the comments from the public were valid. I mean, I think the whole thing that we're trying to get at, and this is, I mean, Cliff, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I gathered from, our conversation as subcommittee. It's like, we really just want to identify the people with the most need and provide the support that they need to help them through this. And, you know, in our discussions, we felt that homeowners generally, they have a means to be able to like defer their payments and add that on to the end of their loan. And where renters don't really have that luxury, it's like if you don't pay, you're out. And a lot of times renters are at the lowest income levels. People who have purchased a home, you know, have been able to save and do that. But there's definitely the case where there are people who are homeowners and they're struggling too. And we want to be able to just keep people in their homes, whether those be, I think, renters or mortgage holders, homeowners. And so, you know, I'm open. I think Cliff and I, you know, move forward with renters because there has been other programs that are already out there and they seem to all provide rental assistance. And so it's easy for us to kind of look at what's already being done to help us with a guide. But I'm absolutely open to branching this out. You know, if the council feels like widening the net will help us help more people, then I'm open to that.
Yeah, Councilmember Davis, I think you summed it up really, really well. We were looking to identify who are the most vulnerable in our community and making sure that they do not lose a roof over their heads. You know, we did talk about homeowners, and there is that program where they can extend the terms of their mortgage. But the other thing about a homeowner is that they have equity. They have equity in their home. If you're a renter, you don't have equity. And many of the lower income renters, they live paycheck to paycheck, and many of them have lost their employment. And so that was the target audience. And we only have so much money. So if we start to spread it out, then I think we lose the ability to really help those who are at most at need. Though I did appreciate the comments from a member of the public. I think it's, you know, one of the things about, you know, if a landlord is on the council, or if a landlord is part of the, you know, upper echelons of city hall staff, that they should be excluded from being part of this program. That makes sense to me. If Tom, if you had some you know, advice on that part, yeah, if you wouldn't mind providing it.
I think if you're going to refine the program, you may want to see what the demand is in launching it and then get into refinements. And the reason is, this is both wearing a lawyer's hat because people can just miss being in or out, and that's not the intention of the council. But also, when I worked with the Clinton administration, it was in this space, and changing a sentence or two can take you down a path in regulations at the federal level, which do apply here because you're talking about protecting people's, not only helping them the way you want to, but also making sure that civil rights aren't violated and other things that all come into play with housing. In my experience, it was just better to do what Stuart's proposing, which is to have an established program, learn from it a little bit, and then refine it. Trying to refine it up front led to unintended consequences. And at least in 2 cases that I was involved in, led to discrimination claims. There was no intent, but that's certainly how it looked in the aftermath, because people just assumed the special change must have been at somebody's expense on purpose. So I would go with the staff recommendation personally. Again, that's not as a lawyer. As a lawyer, I would also go with the staff recommendation because you need to learn more before you do more.
No, thank you, Tom.
I was going to say, it makes sense that the council members and the executive management team would not be able to participate in this. I would agree with changing the program for that. And
Stuart, how would you administer? I understand we're going to a third party, but who would you assign to administer?
that would be the third party. So what we would say is that these are because we're paying the landlords.
So you give them absolute discretion then? You would not say roll at all? Okay, I thought there'd be somebody assigned. Okay.
Right.
Sure.
And then my suggestion would be is if you want to look at expanding the program, maybe give it until February to see if how many people applied. And if we have not given the full 100,000 out by February, come back to council with other suggestions to expand the program.
Which is likely because, the county, they thought that they were just going to be running out of money right away. And they didn't have very many applications. They kept saying, hey, we've extended the deadline, send in your application. So I think that, if that's true at the county level, there's a good possibility that we may not have enough applicants in the first go around anyway.
When I talked to Samaritan House, they only had one person from Brisbane apply for the county program.
Stuart, aren't there some deadlines though looming out there that where people's extensions will be not allowed anymore, and then they'll have to just come up with the rent?
Are you talking about the federal programs for the extension of unemployment?
Where you cannot be evicted.
I believe that was extended, Tom.
It was. There is a question about whether or not it's as broad as it was. I've read it and I think it is, but it has been extended, Councilman Wentz.
Okay.
The eviction piece. Stuart's other point also spot on about we still need the new continuation of the federal authority. And if I may, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, I just want to pin this down. Stuart, I understand exactly what we're doing here, but will we get a report then?
Yes.
From the minister? Okay, so that's how I just was concerned when I used the word monitor and heard no. And the other thing, Madam Mayor, is I think I cut off Councilmember Mackin unintentionally. Did I do that, Ms. Mackin?
I did have something I wanted to say in not completely disregarding homeowners and someone correct me if you think I'm wrong. As my understanding goes, the ability of someone to extend their mortgage is only provided through certain banks. So you may have some very low income homeowners in Brisbane who can't do that. So I'm not suggesting that for this first trial program. I like the idea of just doing one program first to the end and then reevaluating. But I would suggest that we not rule out some homeowners in Brisbane, because even if they have equity in their house and you say, well, they could borrow, they may have already done that because their unemployment has run out and they've borrowed money to stay afloat. Another concern I have with renters is that when we talk about income at 80% or lower, sometimes we're saying family income, but there are also renters who live in a household where there's more than one wage earner. And if that is the case, I think we need to be looking at household income, not under quote family, just to make sure that they really qualify.
Councilmember Mackin, that's the kind of thing that a Samaritan House will try to get at, is household, your point. Whether they will do it successfully is usually a function of the law. So the notion of revisiting it, as Stuart has suggested, would make a lot of sense. On the other point, incredibly well taken. It's very hard. When the federal government uses the standards it uses, which then are adopted by states and localities, it's setting them based on numbers that are national. And California, particularly Bay Area, California, what is a living income is not the same as what is a living income in Cincinnati, for example, where I have a good friend. I mean, he lives in a beautiful home that costs him $300,000, and here it would be a $2 million home. It's just a different world depending on where you are. But that's the kind of thing where you get into trouble unintentionally. So I think your point's incredibly well taken, but I would just double down on, for the city's liability, let the program work for 3 to 4 months, 3 to 6 months. Stuart will know when, and then revisit it, review it. And as long as you're getting those reports, I should have said reports, not monitor, you're going to have a sense. And somebody's going to knock on the proverbial door, maybe not now, they'll ring the phone, but there's going to be a special circumstance, and that'll come to everybody's attention. So I know I'm pushing on this. I'm just pushing because I'd hate to see the council make an unintended mistake that could burn cash that you want to go to people who need help. That's all. And that's not directed at an individual council member. That's just generally.
I agree with you, Colleen. I think the other thing too that was pointed out in that letter that I hadn't considered is that, you know, homeowners have all these other options, like we mentioned, but they're still required to pay property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to come up with that money. So I think that I'm open to a reevaluation on a second run, and keeping in mind that, you know, people might have other options to take care of the mortgage, but they might not be able to come up with money for property taxes right at this very minute. So, you know, that might be a way that we can help them with that too. So I'm definitely open to looking at it, but I think for all the points stated by Tom, that we should move forward with what the subcommittee had suggested on the first go around and then reevaluate as needed.
So are you contemplating adding the part that the senior staff and city council cannot participate? With that,
to what?
Cannot participate in this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a given. Like, you know, I can't be part of the city's first time home buyer program. So, you know, I would think that we couldn't receive money that are city funds, even if they're funneled through somewhere else. I mean, I just think that probably we couldn't do. Tom's raising his hand. So
how do we word that then?
Yeah, we'll put some language in there, but I mean, I agree with Madison that it is kind of a given. I mean,
yeah,
staff level, city council, we don't participate in these kinds of programs.
Okay.
The language is going to be, there'll be language in the program. There's absolutely language in the law. It doesn't cover all staff, but it covers far more than people might suspect. And then if you add in the additional, it's not bootstrapping, it's just an insurance policy. You guys will avoid any issue just by doing what Clay and Madison suggested, adding in that extra 2 sentences or so. And we can provide that, although the city probably has it in 10 other programs. Just let us know.
So are we voting on moving forward with this, or just?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I have some public comments to read. Go ahead. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
From Dana Dilworth, rental assistance from the city's housing fund, December 10th, 2020. Thank you for being aware of the needs that many are experiencing due to the pandemic. Thank you for working out the process to support some of those in need. I am, however, confused about why this is limited to renters and not all eligible low-income residents of Brisbane. Homeowner versus renter. As a homeowner with property tax due today, I and others have to make the decision to go into default, borrow from friends or family if we can, or use a credit card with a 2-digit interest rate. It would be good if you included homeowners and allow payments to go to mortgage companies or taxing entities. Otherwise, this proposal seems to make landlords a special class. Default requirement. Low-income residents who may not be in default also deserve help. One item from other municipalities considered that warrants your consideration is the degree to which the rent or mortgage exceeds the HUD fair market values for San Mateo County. It seems generous, but there may be property payments, rentals that are even greater. I don't see the language in your proposal about the HUD rate and think that a landlord should be allowed to forgive greater than $5,000 in rent. situational needs. Additionally, you may be aware of fraud with EDD/B of A payments. There are a number of us, my family included, whose meager EDD payments have not been forthcoming. I would hope that you have room for situational needs in your application process. Conditions for landlords. There is no mention of a limit of payments to any one landlord. Theoretically, one landlord with 25 tenants could receive the entire grant. If the landlord is a trust or LLC or a corporation, ownership should be disclosed. The municipalities that require the landlord to be in San Mateo County are worthy of consideration. The sentiments of keeping it in the community should be considered or have a priority. Eligibility. Having worked in an industry that issued gifts and promotional items, we would have an eligibility policy that owners, employees, and their families did not qualify. I know the city of Brisbane is a landlord and that council members, employees, and former council members and employees are all landlords or property managers in Brisbane. While I don't see it mentioned in your policy, it would be beneficial to have a clear statement of eligibility. Otherwise, some council members should either recuse themselves from voting or vow to not use the program, as it would seem there's a conflict of interest with you voting on the matter. Thank you. And a second correspondence was received from Clara Johnson. Dear Mayor O'Connell and City Council members, I ask you to consider the suggestions made by Dana Dilworth in regard to the proposed rental assistance from the city's housing fund program. Those homeowners who are likely to lose their homes due to foreclosure and whose financial shortfall is due to the COVID-19 pandemic seems to be similarly situated to the renters in need. I applaud your desire to help those who are in need and in jeopardy. You are acting in a way that we should all follow. Sincerely, Clara A. Johnson. We also have a request for public comment from Michelle Salmon.
Go ahead.
Council, I just want to really commend you for even taking this much of a step to offer relief. But I do think that you should consider our low-income homeowners. Brisbane has a lot of very vulnerable people, especially in the senior category, who have owned their homes for a long time and do have, or maybe haven't owned their homes for a long time, but are just as vulnerable as people who are renters, maybe even more vulnerable. And it seems like, oh, we can wait till February or a couple of months to evaluate. But when you have a mortgage to pay, that is an agony of wait. And for people who are over 65 and low income or moderate income, that stressor is huge. And I went through a period in 2018 where I was unemployed and turned 65, like Clarke and Clay, and ran into an ageism wall when it came to employment. Now, I'm very lucky because I'm working full time now and we're making our mortgage fine and everything. But my heart aches for people because I know what that's like, because I went through that agony for a year and, you know, sucked up a lot of my resources to make my mortgage and pay my taxes every month. And so my heart goes out to moderate and low income families who, especially seniors who are struggling to make their mortgage and to make their taxes. And I think that they should be considered in this first round the same as renters. And I know it's hard because you have this already written, but I think it should be on a case by case basis. And I would not want any one of our residents to be left behind in this really challenging time. And so I ask you to consider homeowners too. Yes, I read Dana's letter, but also I thought about this long and hard about the people who don't speak up. And one of the other things I'd really like to see is someone dedicated to helping people fill out the application, because I know that a lot of people, a lot of small businesses missed an opportunity with the first wave of the pandemic and the second wave of the pandemic to get help. And most of the help and aid went to large companies who were savvy enough to be able to fill out the applications and get them processed right away. There was a whole news story about it last night, whereas the small business owners and the ones who were just spending all their energy to survive and didn't have the wherewithal to fill out the applications properly completely missed out on that aid. And I don't want to see that happen with us. I really don't. And so I hope you would have one person maybe dedicated to helping answer questions and helping people fill out the paperwork. I think one of the reasons that all of the money that the county has allocated hasn't been used up. It's just by a lack of people knowing that there might be assistance out there and how to apply for it. And maybe this same person could help people who aren't necessarily eligible for Brisbane's aid to be able to explore other options for aid from other sources that are available that aren't used up yet. And this is a really tough time, and I really am glad you're doing this. But let's try to help those that are most vulnerable in our community, and help them in more than just this particular program, but help them have access through help and knowledge to the other programs that are available. That's all I want to say. So thank you.
Okay. Any more comments from council?
Stuart, might Samaritan House actually be available to assist any applicants who need help filling out those applications?
That would be one of the things that they can do. And also when we announce it through our normal methods, we would of course give my name and number. So if people need assistance, I'd be more than happy to help them fill this out.
Right. Jerry, anything else? No. Okay, what is council's pleasure? Do we have a motion to move forward with this?
So moved.
I would like, I will second that.
Thanks. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Lentz.
Aye.
Councilmember Mackin.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
And Mayor Cunningham.
Hi. We'll get there. Pull through tonight. We'll see if we can get it better next time. Okay. I'm having a little trouble scrolling here. Please bear with me for a second. My scrolling finger is damaged. Okay. All right, that moves us on to item 8, staff reports. Stuart, Blake.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Ingrid, you're going to put up a couple slides. Go on to the second page. Okay, so the County Health Department has given out a couple of updates to the health order this week. They're more in the form of recommendations than any additional restrictions. But just wanted to highlight, obviously, as everyone knows, we're going through a surge in activity in terms of the virus, both locally as well as throughout the country. So the health officer is, really emphasizing always wearing a mask in public, especially when talking. Small social support bubbles of 1 to 2 households only, and to mask, isolate, quarantine, and test immediately as symptoms are developed. As a reminder to our community, we do have 3 testing locations in Daly City. They can be, you can get information and an appointment by going on to www.juhsd.net for more information. Plan Bay Area 2050, that's what PBA 2050 is, just the end of the year update. I know we had an extensive discussion about this a month or so ago. We have been anticipating some updates on our numbers We have not yet received those. We do anticipate that we will get that by the end of the month. And that will, of course, drive the local housing numbers that we will have to meet in our next round of housing element. So we're anxiously awaiting the input or the result on that, and then we can go from there in terms of what strategies we want to try to use. But just wanted to give you an update that we had first, I think that when we reported back a month or so ago, we indicated that the first part of December we would get information, and that has not proven to be true. But we are, as we understand it right now, going to have information by the end of the month. And that's my weekly report. I guess it's not my weekly report. This is my city manager's update for this council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 9, Mayor Council Matters. He reports out on countywide assignments and subcommittee reports. Who'd like to start? Terry, go ahead.
So Cliff and I had a meeting on the Sierra Point Design Guidelines Subcommittee. We discussed options for investigating the implementation of a park master plan utilizing parcel R, and seeing about bringing in a consultant to give us an overview of what might be possible. We came to no conclusions, but staff is going to bring us back recommendations in the first quarter. I also would you like to add anything to that, Cliff?
Yeah, just a little bit, Terry. Yeah, I thought we had a really productive meeting. Now that we have received a significant amount of money from some of the property owners. I think we're at like 1.8 million, Clay, in funds.
We've got 1.8, and we know we're going to get at least 200,000 more, so we will have 2 million to work with.
Yeah. So the idea is to have staff reach out to put out what it was like a I don't know. It's not an RFP though, is it?
We'll put out a request for interest and qualifications to various design companies, and then go from there. I was planning on bringing back kind of a summary of our meeting to your January 7th meeting for the kind of brief the whole city council, and so the next step would be to do that process, and then to ultimately interview some potential companies, and then make a recommendation to the full city council, and bring that back to the full city council sometime in the earlier part of 2020. Although I think we also discussed that we would not, while we wanted to bring somebody on board to start helping us with this, we did not want to get into the full-blown public process until we're basically post-COVID, and hopefully September, October of 2021, hopefully.
Any other?
I also had an airport airport noise subcommittee, and that wasn't, not too much new information. They're still saying that flights are public passenger flights are at about 20% of normal, while air freight is almost up to about 70% of normal. So that was interesting, but that was about the only other outcome from that. So I think that was all I did.
Madison, did you have anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. And Colleen, we're going to find plenty for you for the next time.
Oh, I'll bet.
Trust me, trust me.
I trust you.
Okay, I have nothing to report.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, that I got disconnected.
Oh.
You know, it's that spotty City Hall internet access. So, you know, I'm not sure where I got cut off, but anyways, one of the things that Clay had asked Terry and I was, you know, if we had any parks that we thought were, you know, that inspired us, that we thought were really great designs, we should share that with staff, and then staff could, you know, reach out and see who those park designers were. And I think that, you know, all of us as council members, you know, if there's a particular park that you really like, Terry liked this one that was near Mission Bay. This past weekend, I was with my daughter, and we walked around the park at the Salesforce Tower, which was just awesome. It just blew us away. You know, there's a lot of great landscape designers out there that have created some wonderful parks in our area, and then of course around the country. So I mean, it shouldn't be limited to you know, just locally. But you know, yeah, I mean, if it's something that you have, you know, a park that has inspired you, share that with staff, and they'll investigate and see if it makes sense. And then you know, we'll pull together several firms that you know, might be interested.
Good. Okay. Anything else there? I just want to mention that we will be voting for our new reps on ABAG on the 18th. Does anybody want to have any kind of comment about that right now?
I was reached out to by someone who was interested, I want to say, and I'm getting a little brain dead with my dog is barking in the background. I want to say Mark Adair.
Mark Nogales from South City.
No. Oh. Nogales? It might have been. Okay, I'd have to look in my notes, but he seemed very interested in Brisbane support and has some of the same interests at heart, and I think might be a good North County person to possibly support.
I also talked to Mark and felt the same way. Okay.
Yeah, you know, I had a call from Rick Bonilla, San Mateo, and you know, there was an ABAG committee meeting in regards to which methodology PBA 2050 was going to use, whether it was going to be the one that they have chosen, or there was this extreme one that was going to be 9,000 units for us, you know, in the upcoming arena cycle. And you know, I had reached out to Rick. I shared you know, our concerns with him, and he just, you know, he did an awesome job protecting our city. And he was, you know, I think he was fairly influential in addressing our concerns, and also pushing to have the lower amount of housing version. You know, that I mean, granted, you know, what's on the table right now still really is awful for us, but this would have just been like, it would just been super crazy, and it would have been extremely bad for us. So he's a good, I think he'd be an excellent fighter for us on ABAG. And you know, another person he said has put their name in the hat, and I have not heard from this person, but I have worked with her on commute.org. Her name is, she's a council member, Giselle Hale from Redwood City. and super smart, super articulate. And if we addressed our concerns to her, she would be someone who would get up there and say, this is wrong and you need to make a change. And I like Mark from South City, but I do not think that Mark is going to be that person who's going to just get up there and say, you know what, like Wayne did, I won't vote for, PBA 2040. I mean, that took so much guts on Wayne's part. And I like Mark, but I don't see him doing that. Whereas I see the other two, working hard, maybe not to the same extent as Wayne, but digging in deep and working hard on our behalf. So.
Hey Terry, was Mark the one that was is he on airport
I don't know.
roundtable?
Oh, that's Mark Adiego.
Oh, okay.
Terry, you're muted.
Not the same Mark.
Okay. All right. So we'll see where this lands.
I will just want to say, as you being the mayor, when you get in that meeting and you're asked to make that vote, I think you can use your own judgment there.
I'm sort of pretty close to where I think I need to be.
Good.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, have you seen other applications, or have you seen any applications come in for that position?
Mark Nagalis and Giselle Hale are the two people that I'm most fond of at this point. I'll just leave that there for.
Did you talk to Rick also?
I did talk to Rick.
Oh, you did?
I did. I had a lengthy discussion with Rick.
All right, Karen, well, you're the mayor, so
Yeah.
just do your thing.
Yeah, he's very, very pro lots of housing, so I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, Rick is, I no question about that, right? Rick is, someone who understands that we do have a housing crisis, and that we do need to address it. But I think Rick would also address it in a responsible way, not the stupid way that PBA 2050 folks are evaluating sites in Brisbane. So
yeah,
but yeah, you're the mayor. You'll choose, right? Whatever you feel is appropriate.
Good. Okay, so let's move on to item O, City Council meeting schedule. I believe our next meeting is January the 7th. Is that correct? Yeah, look at that. I got it right.
Correct. And we will also have your appointments of boards and commissions, not boards and commissions, your appointments to your subcommittees and to your countywide assignments on that agenda.
You're giving them all to Colleen, right?
No, I wash my hands of this process. I just hand them to you.
Thanks.
You just let us duke it out.
I'll let you duke it out.
Yeah, right. Okay, written communications. I guess we had a letter from Barbara Bell on November 20th regarding tree issues. Wayne Martin on November 24th, an analysis of Washington Post police shooting data. California Department of Insurance on 12/2. Hello from CDI, City and Law Enforcement Partnerships. A letter from Wayne Lee on 12/3 regarding ABAG MTC staff webinar, Plan Bay Area and RENA methodology. I did read that and I was very impressed with Wayne. A letter from Tony Verios on 12/8 regarding California offering grants and tax relief, $500 million. A letter from Wayne Mack on 12/9, resignation from the Planning Commission. A letter from Dana Dilworth, which we heard Ingrid read into the record regarding rental assistance from the city's housing fund on 12/10, and a letter from Clara Johnson on 12/10, council meeting regarding rental assistance as well. So let's move on to item 10, oral communications number 2. Ingrid, do you have anyone?
Michelle Salmon would like to make public comment.
Go ahead.
Dear Council, I really want to address the public and hope that if you are having trouble, and not just for rental assistance, but with your mortgage, that you reach out and maybe do talk to Stuart Schlesinger. He's very smart and he might have a raft of ideas to help you. Don't be discouraged that that this aid is for rentals only. If you don't speak up now, they won't be able to look and make a reasonable decision about people who also have mortgage issues. So don't hesitate to reach out for help. And I know it seems overwhelming, but we have a lot of resources in Brisbane and a lot of really smart people like Stuart that can help you find your way through to get to the other side. So please reach out for help if you need help. Don't be shy about it. And I hope the city really communicates that message out to the public, because I know some people will be disappointed about the very already very generous decision that the council made tonight. But if it doesn't include, if you think it doesn't include you, you still need to reach out and ask for help. That's really the message I want to give. And also, Clarke, I want to tell you how much I'm going to miss you on the council. It looks like we're still going to have long meetings. And congratulations to Colleen and Cliff and Karen on your election to the council. And I hope we have a good year moving forward. Also, I'd really like to commend city staff about what a great job that they have been doing for the pandemic. And I really loved the work that the Park and Rec department did for the tree lighting this year. It was awesome. So thank you.
Okay, Ingrid, do we have anybody else? Any texts? Anything at all? You're muted.
I did receive a chat message earlier from Leanne Borghese, thanking Terry O'Connell for her work as mayor.
Okay, so with that, we'll move on and make an adjournment to the next city council meeting of January 7th.
Can we close in memory?
I'm sorry. Yes, we need to.
Would you like me to read that?
In memory of Laura Salmon Smoke-It. Please do.
I think you just did, but yes, thank you. And we'll close in memory of Laura Salmon.
By the way, Michelle, my condolences, because I've known Laura my whole life. So, you know, my sincere condolences on losing your sister.
Thank you, Clarke. Yeah. She loved Brisbane, loved growing up here. And I'm just grateful that she's no longer in the amount of pain that she was in. And she's very much missed. Thank you, Clarke.
Take care, Michelle.
Okay. With that, good night, everybody. I'll see you on January the 7th.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year's.
All right. Happy holidays, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Holidays. Yeah.